Uno momento, uno momento. All right, there we go. Got to hit the right buttons. What is up, fam? What is up, everybody? I just get right into it. I come to you guys with a heavy heart tonight, and the only way I know how to deal with it is just to try and deal with it and try and deal with it head on. That's the way I've pretty much done everything since I started scoping. When I seen racism and bullshit coming out of the YVA camp, I called out Mill Bitchell and I called out Ann Vandersmeer. When I see the Q-tards out there pushing for complacency from our base, I have to call it out. And so I want you guys going into this to know that I'm not doing this as some kind of bash a family member type deal. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm going to do, and it's not just me, I've got through this, last week and a half of inner turmoil that's been going on, there's been other people that I've talked to about this, and I brought them in with me tonight. But basically, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and bring them in now so you guys can see where I'm at. Basically, there's just been some things that have completely disturbed me, and I hope that MAGA Gold Hat gets the message and decides to come in, and maybe we can talk about it. Because honestly, what it comes down to it, this family, the way I've looked at it, is precious. And if there's one person that's taking advantage of the family or is misleading the family, then we need to call it out and just get it out there in the open, period.
Amen, Smooch. Amen.
So, everybody, welcome to DanH805. You are unmuted.
Amen, Smooch. It's never a pleasant experience having to expose something like this, but there's been a number of people that have shared some experiences with a particular individual, and some of us have held back, and it's long enough. It's not right, and the one thing that I could say, there's many things I could say about our group of people and our fam, and the one of those, though, is that we're definitely good people, and we look out for each other, and we look out for MAGA, and we don't like doing things that are behind people's back. We don't like talking about people when they're not here to defend themselves. So I like Gold Hat to have the opportunity to come on if he wants, but a number of instances have been brought to my attention and a number of other people, and it's enough is enough. So here's the lowdown for anybody who isn't in the loop at this point.
Absolutely. And I'll start with my personal experience and why that, I'm using my platform right now. And then we can go from there, Dan. Just personally, I felt that I've been, I was taken advantage of by MAGA Hold Tat, simply be either lying by omission or just flat out lying. And we all know what's transpired a couple weeks ago during the Allen campaign. And we all know, if we listen to MNN, how many times we were told that there are polls out there, and actually specific pollsters' names who have since disputed these claims were thrown out there about the chances that we had and Travis Allen had. I've got stuff queued up, and if I need to play it, I will, from the actual out of the words that Travis Allen was in second place, and people were taken advantage of to knock thousands of doors, to make thousands of phone calls. I gladly made the phone calls to try and help this campaign. The more I talked to people, the more I realized that what I was doing was futile. After you make 300 phone calls, you find out that, wait a minute, maybe I'm not doing what I thought I was going to be doing. Maybe I'm actually dividing the base or something, because that was kind of what I was getting. More people were telling me, because of President Trump, they were going to be going and pulling that ballot box for Trump or for Cox. Here nor there, that doesn't matter. I made the phone calls. What I was upset was later to find out that there was a check being, that was given to Goldie for the hard work that I and all the other volunteers were doing. And, I did this for free. As a matter of fact, I donate quite a bit to a lot of different causes. So you could even say that, sometimes we pay to help, but to feel like we were misled, and that's exactly where I felt that we were misled, and it never to be brought to light or never to be addressed later on that, hey, yeah, I did get paid for the campaign work I did. Well, if it would have came to me and said, hey, Smooch, I can make some extra money here. Do you mind doing some phone calls? And at the same time, we'll help MAGA, we'll help Travis Allen and stuff like that. I'd have been down. So just me personally, I felt like I was, taken advantage of. And as I started to pursue that with other people, I found, Dan and several others. And so I'm going to leave it, throw it back over to you, Dan, and just, lay this stuff to bear. And, because the last thing we want is MAGA people, new to MAGA or fam members, to donate to something and it doesn't end up where their money doesn't go where it says it's going to go, or their hard work isn't, being used for just to, proliferate a bigger MAGA audience. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly, Smooch. And, we're all in this fam open and honest with each other. And I think that that's what I expect. That's what I give to everyone else in this group. And that's all we really expect back from each other, is just to be transparent and honest. And, it came to my attention from, a dear friend, Jen Lovelate, who is not able to be here this evening, who has some celebratory family matters. She gave us a lot of information because Goldie decided to come out and supposedly, in his words, ground and pound for California. And I just want to address one comment. By the way, we're simulcasting, so I know people are watching in my Periscope and people are watching your Periscope, Smooch. And somebody in my Periscope just commented, Smooch, that we seem to be falling apart. And I think that that's absolutely to the contrary, is that we're here making sure that everybody is aware of what's going on so that there are not wedges driven between people. By all means, don't believe what we have to say just because we're saying it tonight. Go ask him yourself. And I think a little bit later we're going to get a first-person testimony from somebody who did exactly that, ask a question, and she will give you, with her own words, exactly what happened to her as his response. And again, don't just believe her. Go ask the questions yourself to the person we're talking about. And, if you get a different result, great. But so far, all of us have gotten the exact same thing. And that is that when he came out here to ground and pound, in his words, for the Travis Allen campaign, he took the generosity of people in our fam for granted by staying with them for a long period of time, I think 7 or 8 days, rent-free. People gave that to him out of the goodness of his heart, or their heart rather. They donated tons of their time and effort and their, and their home to be headquarters, if you will, for this, neighborhood walk operation. And in the end, they found out, and many of the rest of us found out, that they were taken advantage of. And as Smooch alluded to earlier, there was money transferred. There was an eyewitness account of person Gold Hat receiving a check directly from people from the Travis Allen campaign. And before that, it came to be that there was just not correct information. Goldie was presenting information to people on Periscope over the phone. He called me and spoke to me directly over the phone after asking for my phone number, and was telling me all sorts of information that he purported to be true regarding Travis Allen's percentages of winning. Now, this is not just a case of somebody transposing numbers or making an honest mistake. This person, he misrepresented poll numbers from a completely different poll. So in other words, he took accurate poll numbers from Travis Allen versus Gavin Newsom, okay, as if those two were going head to head, took those percentages and then purported those to be Travis Allen's probability of winning over all the candidates in the primary. So he actually lied, 100% lied, and said that Travis Allen has a chance to win and his percentage is whatever it was, 2 or 3% or whatever, and that's entirely not true because that was a heads-up poll from Travis Allen versus Gavin Newsom. And so he was deliberately manipulating people by giving them false data. And people asked, including myself, to see the actual documentation, and it was never given. And in hindsight, I have now seen the truthful documentation. And these polls, by the way, were from Richard Barris, which is probably the only pollster that I personally trust. But again, don't believe me. Go out and do your own research. For those of you who might be new to the fam, or seeing this Periscope for the first time, or any of us for the first time, and go check it out and see. I would also ask, why did Richard Barris and Gold Hat have a big falling out? Why did they have an issue between the two of them when he was purportedly sharing appropriate polling information with people like us to help energize us to get out there on the ground? Now, what I submit to you, my opinion, is that that Gold Hat was getting paid. He came out here. He knew he was going to get some money of some sort. I don't know how much. I don't know if it was for actual campaign work or if it was just for per diem to actually go out there and get a stipend for a hotel room and meals or whatnot. But regardless, money transferred hands. And in my mind, you are no longer a grassroots person. You're getting paid for campaign work. And that, I don't have any problem with that on the surface. But when you misrepresent the facts, when you take advantage of people that are volunteering their time, effort, and heart and believe what you're telling them, you're a nefarious person. And to that is the main reason why we're here tonight. And again, I invite him to come on. I invite anybody else, who may have alternate information to speak up. It's not like we're sitting here saying our truth is the only truth. If anybody has contrary information, please present it. But, the fact of the matter is we're here to present this information that a number of us, I won't say anybody's name who chooses not to be present, but there's almost a dozen of us that have very similar experiences and have compared notes here, and you're going to hear from at least 3 of us tonight and maybe more.
Yeah, basically the way that I've approached this, because we've had a lot of issues in the past with the fam, but it basically comes down to, if you see something, say something. Because the only way I can equate it is if someone in your group, I was raised in a Christian background, so I can only do my analogy like church. If you bring someone into church and a hypocrite over to the right gives them a bad taste in their mouth, then they're going to be done with church. They're not going to be done with the hypocrite. And if you have someone in your MAGA fam that is taking advantage of other people in that MAGA fam, I don't know how I can not, in good conscience, at least throw my concerns out there and with everyone else, and just bring it to light, because I don't want someone being turned off from MAGA because they donated to an event and the money didn't go where it was supposed to, or the money was pocketed, or they were just plain misled and lied to, and their hard work, beyond money, just their hard work, sweat, tears, time got used and misused. So that's the only reason why that I was willing to come out and do this, was because I think that you have to shed light on things sometimes. And like you said, you guys make the decision here. This isn't a freaking, a mob mentality. This has happened to a lot of us, and we don't want anybody else in the fam being taken advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here to do, is prevent further instances of this type of behavior, whether it be from this same person, MAGA Gold Hat, or it be from anybody else, because that's the bottom line, is that we look out for each other and we look out for MAGA. And neither one of those are being taken care of at this point. Fam was disrespected and taken advantage of, and MAGA was certainly not done when you're lying about the state of a campaign and the chances of a particular candidate winning. That's disingenuous and is not to be tolerated in our group.
Right. I mean, when you're pretty much showing screenshots of doctored polls just so you can keep the fam motivated into doing what needs to be done, you're misleading, you're lying to the fam 100%. When you go on MNN and you have 12,000 views, well, you're lying to more than just the fam, because a lot of people see that are way beyond the fam, because Vimeo goes out to so many different platforms, and then you stay up on their front page for a while after you do a scope. So we're talking thousands of people were flat out told that. I've seen polls. These polls specifically say that Allen's in second place. And all we got to do is do that final run, that final push, do what we do as MAGA people, throw our energy into it, and we can make things happen. You know, I can accept losing if that was the legit thing. I can't accept the fact that, hey, I need you to make thousands of phone calls so my check gets a little bit fatter. That hurts. That bothers me on a grand level. And
Yeah. No, it does to me too. And, you know, again, I'm going to respond to a comment I saw. You know, Feisty's in my room saying that, you know, she wants to see evidence or whatever. You know, go ask for it yourself, Feisty. The rest of us have. And to be honest with you, like, we've had enough bullshit and drama, and that's why we're here trying to clean up the drama so that other people don't get wrapped up in the situation. So if you, like I said, don't believe every word out of our mouth. Go ask for the proof yourself, and, you know, you can make your own decisions. We're not telling anybody here to believe explicitly what we say. Go fact check it for yourself, and you'll find out that more than likely you're going to come to the same conclusion all of us have.
Hi guys, it's Pineapple. So the goal of tonight and the reason that we're coming on is to forewarn people that this does not happen again. I've given a lot of money to Goldie because I felt pressured, and I thought I was doing the right thing. And for me, usually my instincts are really correct, but this one got by me, and I'm almost ashamed to admit it. So if it happened to me, it will happen. It happened to other people. I do know that. And it's just, you know, we're coming out and letting you know that, you know, this should not happen again, period.
Yeah, it's not to be tolerated. I mean, we have a very, very unique group that I have never been a part of. Well, then, Feisty, whatever. You know what? You could ask whatever questions you want, but seriously, then if you don't believe it, then don't be here, don't participate. Just go ask, go DM him yourself then. But seriously, you're not helping the situation either. So look, I don't want to get pissy.
On the flip side of that, Dan, in my room, I have Lori Mendocino, who I have met and is a wonderful lady. I met her in Atlanta, who said that she donated and gave money and felt abused in the process. So that's kind of another reason why, you know, we're doing this, because there's a lot of stories out there, and this isn't about dividing the fam or anything else. This is just about laying bare what is out there. And I can tell you what, if I sat and watched next week a family member donate a large amount of money or time, and then they felt like they were taken advantage of, and I sat back and knew that this person in my mind was taking advantage of people, then I would feel bad. You know, it's like you said, see something, say something. You absolutely have to. You have to lay these things to bear.
Yeah, it's about taking out the garbage, Smooch. You know, there's something that reeks in the kitchen right now, and that's Gold Hat, and it's time to take out the garbage and get rid of it.
Well, you know, and you said, you know, ask Goldie yourself. We have someone in this room right now that actually did that didn't take what was said at face value. She went to Goldie and said, hey, Goldie, what's up? And that's LA Child, who you are now unmuted. So please.
So, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, my first question to him that he found irritating was, well, I shouldn't say that because I didn't see his face or anything, but was that I didn't know his name. Okay. So I know your names, and I didn't know this guy's name, and he's kind of, you know, inserting himself in the California politics and everything. And so, which was cool. We were new in that kind of end of things, you know. California was suddenly becoming a focus, and we need help, right? So, but I thought to myself, God, I don't even know this guy's name. I've never met him. I've seen him a little on the videos and stuff and stuff. So I'll just ask him, and he told me he was the other Adam. So I was very confused. I didn't know what that meant, and I can't remember if there was a last name given. So I just kind of think if you're endorsing people and if you're really, you know, helping people with campaigns and stuff, that you should be able to use your real name, because that is your business. You know, you're collecting money from people and you're using it for your campaign, and that's what it's meant for. And that's totally legit. But when you hide behind something, And I'm just putting things out there, and I don't speak for everyone. I don't even speak for myself most of the time. I'm just kidding. But you know, you know, being confrontational really makes me nervous. So I just want to remind people that we all love, and we are all people, and we all have our happiness in life, and the way that we see our lives is different than each other's, you know? So I'm not going to speak for his feelings or anything like that. I just want him to know that from the very beginning, my DAR was up. And I just that's why I didn't give you any money. And that's why I would tell other people to not give you any money. You know, and
well, what happened when you asked about money? I mean, that was my point in all this.
Yeah, when I asked about money, first of all, he told me he had a ticket for me for $75. And then I find out from 3 other sources that the tickets are $50. So what is this extra, you know, it's not Ticketmaster. So I thought that was odd. And it was in front of people. If he tries to, so it's a manipulative measure, and I don't like it. And in front of people in a chat room, he chastises people. He uses a certain kind of language. You know, he'll say libtard one too many times. You know, he'll say, "LA, you sound like a libtard." You know, I take offense to that. I think it's really rude, and I think it's like a racist kind of a thing to say, even though I know he's not a racist. I think he's a good guy. I think he's heading down a weird road, and
I don't think he's a good guy at all. I think he does exactly what he does knowingly. He screws people over, and he's a grifter, and fuck him. Fuck you, Goldie.
But I mean, this is my judgment and what happened to me. I just want to understand it. So anyway, I guess I asked too many questions. The last question I asked was, you were here, the Chills event is in 2 days. You came down here to ground and pound, which I find rude language. And calling people grinder is really rude as well, because we are professionals if we're going to be helping people with their campaigns, you know? And so when you call people names like that, it's going to get you some animosity. So anyway, my questions were always very direct, and they were very normal, such as you were here and you left on Wednesday, and Chill's event that you were helping with is on Saturday. And all you did was tell me that you already did your work, and that you already accomplished what you needed to accomplish. There was no need for you to be there. And it's like, I don't think so. You don't come to my state and you don't get yourself involved with our candidates and just leave before an important event. So I thought that was really strange. And I thought your reaction to me was really strange. I think that you could have been more normal and saying, yeah, I really could have stayed, but I needed to get back, and make up a nicety, because then I won't keep at you. I'll know the truth. You'll know the truth. Everybody knows the truth, and we move on. But because you were nasty about it, and then you blocked me, and I'm in these chat rooms with people that I don't even know if they knew that, you really pissed me off. And you blocked me on Twitter, and I don't block people. And so I really take offense to it, actually. You guys talk about your 1A and you block people. But anyway, I digress. I think that going forward, people can call you whatever they want to call you. I call you misguided. I don't understand what happened. I don't know why you would block me. I'm a good person. I'm the best friend people can have. So I think that you made a mistake in that. I think you make a mistake in talking to people and telling them to stop eating cheese pizza and stop eating the ice cream and yelling at them about it. That's about you. Yeah, it's really weird. We don't do that in California. Have you been here? We don't, you know, people don't do that. And if you think we're fat or skinny or whatever, well, that's your opinion and you're entitled to it. I just don't really care about it.
Well, the simple fact that you asked some questions and got blocked is
yeah. So I'm in a room with everyone.
Concerning, you know. And Pineapple Princess tells me the same thing, that she was also blocked, and there's a few other people that have been blocked, and this has gone on under the radar of a lot of the family members, you know, pretty much since the Allen campaign, but definitely since the 12th.
But the thing is, my stuff is my stuff is stupid sounding, kind of, right? But you know, it's without the money giving. I'm treated this way.
Yeah, but when you boil it down, LA, to what actually occurred between you two, it's a seemingly
Yes.
benign interaction that any
Yes.
of us, like, you wouldn't expect for it to end that way. So it's out of the ordinary, and it spikes your interest and your spidey sense tingles. But then
Yeah.
if anybody were to go back and look at the interaction between your comments during his periscopes, like
Yeah.
it's simple interaction between viewer and broadcaster, and
Right.
then it's not like you were even trolling him from like a funny perspective where maybe his
Right.
sense of humor didn't align with yours, but it was a
Mhm.
basic question, and to me, in hindsight and with all the other evidence, says that he just simply didn't want to answer because he knew he couldn't answer truthfully, so his only option was to block you.
Right. Well, telling me that I'm using excuses that are unacceptable when I'm accompanying my son to his life event, and it happens to be baseball. And after I told somebody that, who told him that, blah blah blah, bullshit, whatever. So he finds out, and I'm in one of his scopes, and I'm hearing my story suddenly from this person that I did not tell that to, and so I'm like, I became his narrative for the next 2 weeks until he moved on to someone else's, blight or story. It was weird.
Well, do you want to
Yeah.
expand upon that?
But what he does is he goes out and he does these tangent scopes and calling people non-MAGA.
Oh
And
yeah, that's a good one.
I ask everybody that is watching this right now in both rooms, who does that sound like?
Exactly. We've been through that before, but LA, do you want to expand upon that? Because if I'm not mistaken, I forgot to plug my laptop in. Rookie move on Periscope, right?
Right.
You gave me some information. Maybe you're comfortable sharing it because you alluded to a family situation that you were being chastised by him
Yeah,
over, and then that
exactly.
was
So going
then
back to that,
used against
that really,
you.
yeah, exactly. We all have our families. These are our people that these are our family members. This is like why we pay the taxes for the life we live, right? So I'm going to listen to a stranger tell me that I have to give him money and I have to go to something, and if I don't drive 5 hours to it or whatever, then I'm not MAGA. And that if I don't support Travis Allen over Cox, then I'm not MAGA. If I want to listen to the leader of my party, who's my president, if I'm going to listen to him instead of Goldie, then I'm not MAGA.
Yeah, but specifically, right? You were talking about a family. I don't want to give any information that you're not willing to do, but you just alluded to a minute ago taking your son to a sporting event, right? And then
Yeah,
wasn't that a topic
and
that
so he
continued
said,
to come up?
Yeah, are you talking about when he told people that didn't matter?
Yeah,
And that this
exactly.
was more
And then
important?
in
And that this was more
successive
important
periscopes,
when
he
when
continued to do
another
that.
human being is telling you that they are more important than your family, than your child, than your husband, then you have to like just stop.
And that was not in a joking fashion, right? I mean, and didn't some of that continue to occur after you were blocked from him? That he continued to use you as an example by
Yes,
alluding to
in
you in that
Periscopes, when
situation?
I was gone already, he had already blocked me from his whole life, which is, I'm grateful for because I don't block people. So perfect. And yeah, and he what was it? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm doing dinner here. So I lost my train of thought.
Don't worry. I mean,
You're being
I
told
just
that
think
your
this whole thing,
family and your life is not as
like he's telling me,
rounding
people
and
wake
pounding.
up. Yeah, he's telling me that if I don't go down and ground and pound, and if I don't do this, and if I don't do that, then and I spend time with my family, like my son's confirmation. You know what I mean? Like I could give a fuck about that guy.
but in all honesty, I mean, that really just chalks up to the guy being a pushy asshole, right? Like that's kind of
Yeah,
a fuck your feelings situation where you're like, I don't
yeah,
particularly like your personality, but it's not it went beyond that with you. It went to the level of not answering a simple question, and instead of
yeah.
even giving
All
you
of
a
that
bullshit
turned into a
answer,
big bullshit show.
the answer his answer was just block you and just shun you. because of it.
Yeah.
And so we've
Oh, but I
seen
can
that.
shun people, and it doesn't, that's just me about me. I keep those things to myself. But I was in a room with a bunch of people that I wanted to find out if anyone else had had any experience like that. And I just kind of kept it to myself because, I don't know. There was something that told me that I just needed to let it go. That it was just, I talked with another friend about it, and, we kind of decided like, I'm okay moving on from it.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So then all these other things started happening, and I actually asked a few people that, I try not to bother so much, and it was confirmed that there are other people that were blocked as well, and it was all leading up to Chill's event, but my stuff goes further back with him, and I think this whole primary election thing was, that was my time frame, and all the other stuff that happened after that I was out of. So, but this was all leading up to Chill's event, which I did not attend because I was at a function with my family.
Yeah, which is obviously more important.
Right. And so anyway, that was it. I've already said too much, like sound ridiculous. But.
Well, right. I mean, we appreciate you coming on and voicing your disgruntled, dealings with him and the situation. And look, not everything here is a bombshell, but this is a first-person account of something that actually happened to a person that at some point some people in our group considered Gold Hat to be fam. I felt he weaseled his way in some people's good graces. And here's a first-hand example from LA Child who felt uneasy about the situation and then, had a poor interaction with him when it should have been something that was easily worked out within people if we're in a friendly group with each other. And it certainly goes deeper than that.
Oh, exactly. He could have come to me. He could have said something like, hey, I know I talk a good game. I'm just joking with everybody. He could be that person, but he's not. He's very pushy. He doesn't. I'm not asking for anything from anyone, okay? But you can't push people around like that because there's a lot of really good people that really want us to be successful, and they really do believe that they're donating to something that will be put to good use. And now, so sure.
Well, I'd just like to make the comment because the pressure came on when I noticed he started inserting himself with certain campaigns. I'm going to leave the campaign out of it, but it's not just Travis Allen. He inserts himself and then he targets the fan members and pressures them. And that has to stop. No more. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into privy with information.
Well, look, I'll tell you, if people want more, I'm not usually one to do this, but given the situation, like I will share the personal DMs that he sent me in April about him creating an organization that ran parallel to the MAGA coalition and in some cases was going to be bigger, and he was going to set up chapters in every state, and that he had the best pollster, Richard Barris, in the game, and that he was going to have the best grassroots effort in the entire GOP, and that he was going to get with all these candidates and do all this wonderful ground and pound work. And, look, I'm a person that has lofty goals. I'm a business person. I own my own business. And if I don't dream big, then I'll never make it big. So I get it from that perspective. But when you go too far and you start spewing falsities to people, when you start inserting yourself in situations that you really don't belong in and you really don't know your shit about, then you start to get in over your head. And that's exactly where this guy is right now. He's way in over his head, and he burned bridges with too many people and fucked too many people over, whether it was taking $5 from them or taking entire weeks at their house away from them. Then that's where people like me step in and say, enough is enough. You're a piece of shit. If you want to come on here and defend yourself, then that's great. But otherwise, I'm going to stick to factual information that I can give to people to dispute anything that he has ever said along the way about Travis Allen winning or the chances of certain candidates in California politics or his opinion or anything along the way. I, again, will say, fuck you, Gold Hat.
Well, to that end, you can go to maganews.net and their May 24th episode at 8 minutes in. It's very specific. He's asked about the polls, and he basically lies on air and gaslights all of us that Travis Allen actually had a chance, that he'd seen the polls, that the poll was going to be released next week. It's there. I'm not going to play it because nobody else except for on my side would actually be able to, hear it. But that's May 24th. Go to maganews.net and listen to that daily at 8 minutes. That's the time mark. And it also comes down to this. Jen's not here right now. Jen would be here, other than she has a family thing to do.
Yeah, she has family birthday this evening.
Absolutely. But when all this came out and Travis Allen lost, then all of a sudden there was a lot of things said about Adam specifically and others in the MAGA coalition by Goldie that when I got wind of it, it actually made me want to fight, because that's bullcrap. One, that it's being said behind their back, and for two, that it's being said about someone who I have followed for a year and a half now and has been nothing but honest and impeccable in his truths with us. So that, for me, that was when I just decided this show had to happen. That when I hear, you're bad mouthing the coalition, you're bad mouthing Adam, you're bad mouthing others within it, you're blocking people in the fam, then it had to be brought to light. And I apologize that my platform has to be the one to do this, but I'm also not sorry for the fact that, you just sometimes got to get stuff out here. Once again, MAGA Gold Hat is welcome to come on anytime. Send me a message. I will give you the Zoom link. You can join us that way, or you can join the chats. Either way, this is the opportunity, because after this goes, I'm wiping my hands with anybody that is not 100%, doing this for the right reasons. Or, bottom line, I don't mind if somebody's trying to make a little money off MAGA. It's the honesty part. It's the deceit that kills me. It's the deceit to get someone to do something you want them to do, when in my mind, all you got to do is say, hey, this is what I need here. And how many people would have jumped if the honesty was there? How many people would have said, oh, you need a few extra bucks? Yeah, I can help you do that. Instead, it was just lying and deceit, and that's hurtful to someone that's supposed to be in the fam. And where does it stop? We got to go from here to November with this. Where does it stop? How many more hundreds of phone calls are people going to get? That's another thing. The pushiness goes beyond. When you volunteer to make phone calls for someone and you give your time, you don't expect that when you're dealing with life issues that you're going to get 3, 4, 5 phone calls or texts, or you're going to have someone else, text and say, hey, can you make phone calls for Goldie today? And you're like, what the hell? What's going on here? Mine is also a minor thing, but it's just simple. If you lie to me once, shame on you. If you lie to me twice and I fall for it, shame on me. And so this is the once, and I'm going to step away from, anything Gold Hat. And, it's just the way it has to be, because you can't hurt members of the fam and misrepresent yourself and expect the fam to be there for you in the future.
Yeah, exactly. You can't go back to the well after you poisoned it.
Agreed.
And that's what we're here to do as a public service announcement, to tell people this is people's experience. This is what happened. These are factually documented incidences. You can go ask these people themselves in our group for their firsthand accounts. You can go watch the Periscope yourself, or the MAGA News Network broadcast. You can go look up the polling data yourself now after the fact that things are public, and go find out. Go anybody who's skeptical, go DM Richard Barris right now. Tweet at Richard Barris and ask him what happened with the fallout between him and Gold Hat. Gold Hat misrepresenting himself to candidates, weaseling his way in, trying to sell polling packages to candidates at a lower, reduced rate, and then still demanding money from Richard Barris because as a finder's fee. So you can go ask that yourself, and find out what the situation is. So this person is not only willing to grift and skim money from people who he purported to be, in our group as part of the fam, but he's also willing to do it to other people in the political game, big people, big names. He was supposed to have an event tonight, which I'm sure that's where he's at, and probably not able to attend, our Periscope broadcast right now, although maybe he's watching from the lobby, whoever knows. But, he attached some pretty big names and lofty promises along the way. And, I I don't, have a problem when somebody says, well, I'd like it to be, let's shoot for the stars and hit the moon. That's one thing. But, when you take money from people and you don't do what you said you were going to do for that money, and you don't offer any explanation whatsoever, and then in response, you simply block those people, that shows me right there that you're a disingenuous, nefarious person. You never intended to do what you said you were going to do. It was a scam from the get-go. And so, yeah, and Melanie is in here saying we're shocked, especially those of us who donated to his cause. And unfortunately, it came to this, and that's the unfortunate point we're at, is why those of us who are on this broadcast tonight and others, decided to step up and make our faces public and say what we have to say and share other people's experience, because we don't want this to happen to other people. I don't like to see this happen to people that I don't know. I don't like to hear about old ladies and, octogenarians getting scammed by, Nigerian phone scammers telling them that they have to pay for their grandkids to get back from, a prison camp someplace or whatever the shit scam it may be. And I certainly don't take kindly to people who weasel their way into our group and extort money and friendships out of people and then turn on them. And so for a third time tonight, I'll say, fuck you, Gold Hat. But honestly, if you want to know how I really feel, that's how I really feel.
And by the way, you can get a gold hat for $8 at Walmart. I'm just saying.
Hey, don't shop at Walmart, man. That's like the scourge of the universe right there.
Right.
Walmart does not make America great. It's true, though. Fucking Chinese gold hat, right?
Yeah. It is. I don't think anybody in this room was looking forward to doing this scope other than to just bear this out, because for a week and a half it's been simmering underneath the surface of the fam. Some people are perceptive enough to have asked questions, what's going on with this, what's going on with that. And I just, in my own mind, and I know Dan and yours, that we just don't have our conscience will not allow us to sit and watch someone being scammed or taken advantage of when we know that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Smooch. And you might see a smile on my face, and you might see me laugh or smile when I say "fuck you, Gold Hat." But I'm only taking a small amount of Schadenfreude in this event this evening, because those of us who have been privy to the details have been trying to figure out the best way, the most gentle way to deal with the situation, the least intrusive way to deal with this situation.
Exactly.
And so, you know what? This is the payoff for my hard work, and for everybody else who's not on here tonight that gets to live vicariously through us. That's fine. I feel totally fine and vindicated in taking that little bit of pleasure this evening while I'm hanging out with all of you guys and try to enjoy a shitty situation as much as possible. But when it's over, it's over. After tonight, for me, Gold Hat doesn't fucking exist. So if he doesn't take the opportunity or have the opportunity to get on with us, then he can find out the aftermath and whatever else. But as of yet, during this broadcast, he's still yet to block me, even though I posted this Periscope in one of his own DM rooms that he started, which was used to be the California Travis Allen room, a Gold Hat Army Travis Allen room, and he now changed the name on it. So, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to take just a little bit of enjoyment during this broadcast right now and humor everybody here and enjoy being with the fam as much as possible. And after that, it's over. The guy literally does not exist to me.
Oh, I absolutely agree. It's, there's time has gone by, and if anything festers in this fam, it's going to grow. It's going to be an infection, and we can't allow that to happen. We've got too much importance on what's happening over the next several months. And you certainly cannot allow family members to be taken advantage of, family members with their own generosity to give, and then they're hounded. I mean, I don't get phone calls from Glenn or Brian or anyone else from the MAGA coalition say, hey, we need your money. Hey, we need your money.
Well,
we all know that's what happens almost all the time.
Smooch, and to piggyback on that thought,
oh, good.
I'll be damned that we worked so hard in California and we're getting ready to do a big fight, and I am absolutely rabid right now, to use a term of my friends, but this shit has got to stop. And, we've got to be coherent, especially what's coming in November with California, because there's going to be some more sneaky shit coming.
Yeah, it's bad enough all the bullshit that we have to deal with already, right? The last thing we need is
Yep.
some Trojan horse from inside, either working for the other side or working for themselves. You guys go back and watch, oh crap, what the hell is the name of that movie? And the what is it, A Beautiful Mind, right? Like, that's the game theory. It's like we should all be, in my opinion at least, and I think the majority of people here, we should be working for the good of the group. Everything that we do should be for the good of our group and for the good of MAGA and for the president and his agenda. When you start to take from that pot for yourself, then you don't belong with us.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like it when he was telling me that because I was just asking questions about all the candidates, that he said I wasn't MAGA if I was not going to be voting for the candidate that he wanted me to vote for. You know what I mean? So it was probably the best thing that happened for me to be blocked, because I forgot about him. Aside from the occasional video that someone would send me, I forgot about him. And when people started bringing him up again, I realized that, I really should have said something before.
Well, yeah, and Dan's right. We're representing a lot more than just there may be 4 of us on screen, but there's several people who have come forth and said, hey, this is our experience. We just, we don't want to go on to a live Periscope or anything to talk about it. Like I said, Jen would be here, but she had a family problem. And Jen was one of the ones that really was taken advantage of, the grinder. And it's sad because someone like Jen is integral part of this fam, but one of the most generous people you're going to meet. And every person out here I had no idea Lori had been taken advantage of and felt like she was abused. I mean, it's pretty big to say something like that I felt abused. So I, just for that simple reason alone, that other people are out there coming forth and saying that, I feel good that we are doing this, because it just needs to come out. And anybody that just, like Dan said earlier, if you don't agree, if you need to fact check, then DM Jen, DM some of these people that dealt with this firsthand, DM Goldie himself. Just don't ask the hard questions.
Hey, before I launch into another rant, Smooch, Brian says he needs that $100 back.
Fair enough.
All right, but yeah, no, seriously though, that's the truth. Like Smooch just said, you know what? I've said it before. I'm going to say it again and again and again tonight. If you don't believe something, go fact check it yourself. Don't believe us just because we're saying it. But the bottom line is, Smooch is exactly right. He took advantage. Gold Hat took advantage of Jen and Brian's generosity, I think more so than anybody else in this situation. He came to stay with them at their house. He spent, I think, 7 or 8 days with them during the waning parts of the Travis Allen campaign. He misrepresented data to them. I think at some point I was going to do a Periscope broadcast, and if I'm not mistaken, I think we had on Doles, was that you? Was me and you? And then Jen was supposed to be on there because I was basically going over my voter's guide and sample ballot on a Periscope broadcast, and I invited Jen to be on, and actually, and then I invited someone else to be on, and instead of Jen showing up in my Zoom window, guess who popped up wearing his Antifa mask was Gold Hat. And do you know, and now look, again, don't believe me, go ask her yourself when the opportunity arises. Jen Lovelatte told me afterwards, I said, Jen, I sent the link to you. Did you just did you maybe rather have Gold Hat be on the broadcast at that point? I didn't really mind, but whatever it was. And I did. I'm sorry, B, I blocked her, but she still shows up. So you guys got to block her individually because Periscope sucks like that. Anyway, I digress. Jen said, well, you know what, I was going to go on the broadcast, but then Gold Hat stole the phone out of my hand and basically pushed me off into a closet in my own house and then put on his Antifa mask and decided to join your Zoom room. Or appear.in is what we use. So literally, she got pushed into a closet in her own house. These are Jen's own words. Go verify them with her, when she's on and you have the opportunity. And it was like, I had no idea. I'm sitting there conversing with the guy on Periscope for, a few minutes while he's on. you know, and then he gets butthurt and leaves or whatever before we even go live because I was taking too long getting started, and then shows back up and then does his own thing. And I find out after the fact that he pushed my friend into her own closet after stealing her own phone out of her hands in her own fucking living room. Who the fuck does that?
Well, that's funny because Glenn asked him. I was listening to May 21st or no, the 28th, and or whatever the last time they had scoped, and he was trying to get Jen on. Glenn was, and he's like, "Where's Jen?" And you hear Jen in the background. I want to go on. She's got to grade papers. I had to laugh at that because Glenn said specifically, "Did you like lock her away in a closet or something?" That was Glenn's exact word.
Dude, like he was seriously spot on. I'm going to tell you right now, Goldie is a misogynistic fuck. He's abused women in our group, specifically women. He pesters men, but he crosses the line and he abuses women. And that's where I really draw the line.
That's unacceptable, and
you
that'll never fly in this group or in this fam.
Scamming in one thing, you know, is one thing, and that really fucking offends me. But I got to tell you what, I'm a male who still believes in chivalry, and I always open a door for women. You know, I might differ from Glenn here. I still give every woman the benefit of the doubt to begin with, just I'm that kind of guy. And when I find out that somebody like Goldie, who has an offensive personality to a person like myself, who I view that as, I sure don't like pushy people. You know where they go as a business owner? They go in the category, in my mind, of salespeople, of pushy salespeople, people who cold call me at my office even though the sign says no soliciting and interrupt me during my workday and try to vampire my time. That goes into the fuck you category. I have that much respect for you. Actually, I have less than that much respect for you. And then when you cross over that line and you take that attitude and you amplify it and you push that onto women and you try to get them to do your bidding, like pick up phone calls and do phone banking for you while you're sick with the flu, and then you give people false numbers and you feed them information that's completely bullshit and made up, and then you go and you push and push and push and push and push and take advantage of them because you're getting your per diem payment, or you're possibly have a phone call quota to make for yourself so that you get your paycheck, or whatever the reason is, that I have a big fucking problem with. And that's been more than one example. That's taking advantage of a female and a male host in their own home. That's taking advantage of at least one person in the phone banking situation. That's taking advantage of at least 2 or 3 other people that I've talked to that would like to remain nameless. And there's a number of other people that you can go out there in our fam right now and ask, and they will probably share their own experiences with you regarding them, specifically the women. And I take big fucking problem. I have a big problem with that.
Absolutely. And on top of that, to pound MAGA over the top of their heads. You know,
that's right, under the guise of you're doing something good politically.
To give you money to donate anything, time or money. And at the end of the day, they felt like they're abused. I know I've kept going back to what Lori said, but that just bothers me in a big way, that I donated and I felt abused after the fact. That's, you know, there's being pushy. And like you said, there's just plain attacking someone because they're a female or whatnot. And to beat them over the head with, you're not MAGA if you want to take your kid to a baseball game. You're not MAGA if you don't, you know, go after the candidates that I said, because that's pretty much what it rolled around on the MAGA coalition. Was all of a sudden the MAGA coalition wasn't doing anything right. You know, Adam wasn't worth the crap, and that's just basically all the things that were being spouted from that side. And it's not right, and it freaking it's just sad, because it seems to me, now that I think about it, that a lot of the stories that I've got about, especially the things he said, were said to women and not other men.
Yeah, and I think in I may be wrong, but just I think we have a, I don't want to say disproportionate, but I think the scale is weighted towards the female side in the totality of our group. So, you know, there may be some just probability that there's more women, and so maybe he interacted more with women. But I submit to you that based upon the experiences that have been given to me firsthand by people that they happen to, that you know, that he specifically, for lack of a better term, say took a liking in his behavior to exhibit that onto females specifically, and that really fucking pisses me off.
Well, I mean, as a woman, that part didn't really bother me. You know, you get used to certain types of people, you know, out there. It doesn't really matter.
Doesn't make it right either.
You know what I mean? It doesn't make it right. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, that the bottom line for me is not the woman thing and all that. That I don't buy into. The bottom line for me is that if you're representing candidates,
No bottom line.
well, no bottom line. Okay, so like
There's a fucking bottom line, and it's right here.
The top line, the top line for me is that if you're representing candidates, you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. And I know that's hard, but you have to hold yourself to a higher standard.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a realm of enjoying your First Amendment free speech. There's a realm of being crass, like I can throw my words around this evening because I'm not necessarily beholden to anybody. But then there's a professional environment that when you insert yourself into a professional work environment, you don't simply act in such a ludicrous, crass, immoral fashion. You bite your tongue a little bit, you speak eloquently, you think about what you're going to say before you say it, and you treat people with at least some minimum level of respect.
I mean, like I said, it's just if you're representing candidates that are public figures, they're getting votes by the people, they're getting salary by our taxes. I mean, it's sort of like you have to hold yourself to a higher standard than anybody that you have to be your best. I don't think he was being his best, and that's where I like to leave it. I have no problem being around people or anything like that, so I don't want him to feel like, even though he's a grifter and stuff, I don't want him to feel that that I don't look at him like he's a person or whatever. You know what I mean?
Hey, just newsflash, I was alerted to the fact that Gold Hat would like to sue me. So, again, I will reiterate the fact that he's free to join if I'm not correct at this point, Smooch.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
matter of fact, I'll just send him the Zoom link if he would like to.
Yeah, because no one here is telling him that he's not allowed to say his own piece and defend himself. In fact, it would be wonderful if he'd like to defend himself in person.
I absolutely agree with that. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. And you guys can carry on.
Yeah, apparently he would like to sue me for defamation, so I'm,
I guess I'm in on that too.
exerting my First Amendment, abilities and rights here, describing situations of my personal interactions and situations that people have told me that have happened directly to them. So if he wants to refute that, by all means, you have a platform, sir, to do so.
Yes, I just direct messaged him the Zoom room link.
Awesome.
I will not put it out publicly for the obvious reasons, because we don't want any of the James R. things to happen. You got to find humor in some things, right?
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, that's absolutely, the Zoom room is there and I wanted it like that. We waited until after he was done scoping, and just simply because this needed to be brought out, and it probably needed to be brought out earlier, but us trying to find the best way to approach this without trying to have some, you guys got to pick a side crap. No, they're just presenting our concerns, and you guys can decide from there. You can do the research. You can go to the fact-checking sites if you need to. Go to the sources is what Dan and I have said. Go to the sources of people and their direct, interactions. And then, when you see it from enough people, we had a Zoom talk about this the other night with 12 people. So this isn't just a couple of people that has an axe to grind with Goldie. We are tired of seeing our family members being taken advantage of, and we want resolution, and we want to be done with it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want the thing to be over with, and that's it. It's after tonight, it's over with. There's no more, there's no more of this nonsense.
I'd much rather be playing some killer, funny videos right now and reliving the 2016 election and shit like that than having to do this. But bottom line is, if you kick it down the road, you end up with a problem as big as immigration.
Yeah, that's one thing. If we could take the the macro level and bring it down to the micro level, right? Like you don't kick the can down the road. You don't kick the can. You cut out the cancer as soon as you find it.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're attempted to do right now.
It's a sad state of affairs that we even have to be here questioning this, but this is where we find ourselves, and this is what has to happen. And when you have good people, really good people, I think we'd all agree that Jen and Brian are some of the most generous people with their time. I mean, my goodness, I don't know how many times out of the blue my phone has rang, and it's been Jen Levolate, hey, Smooch, just checking on you. Want to make sure you're all right. Hadn't seen you in the rooms or something. For me, that's everything. That's freaking everything. And that kind of person I owe to stand up and say, hey, I'll speak in your stead. I will absolutely, tell people what you've told me. And you have been in contact with her quite a bit. And unfortunately, you've seen firsthand just how not only how bad it was on her, but how it affected her and Brian. I've never seen Brian turn green before that.
Hey, Smooch, just because I'm ignorant to Zoom, can I just copy and paste the link and send it to him also as well? Is that?
Yeah, that's go to invite and then hit copy URL, and that's in your clipboard, and then go to direct message him through the DMs.
Can I just do that? Like, is that feasible to do from the link that you previously sent me? Because I'm on a different device trying to do that.
Yeah, well, I sent him that link already.
Okay, well, I'll just reiterate by doing the same thing, since apparently I'm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Since apparently he would like to he would like to sue me for defamation of sorts. So
come on and explain. If we're wrong, then explain how we're wrong. Okay, that's all.
Exactly.
I mean, if there's some kind of great grand explanation, then I'm all willing to hear it. I'm all ears. But when I see good friends of mine that are very quiet members of the family that never say anything, disparaging about anyone, i.e. Lori Mendocino, say that she actually felt abused, then that's, there's some issues there that need to be addressed. And let's just face it head on.
Yeah, I 100%.
I mean, that's the only way I know how to deal with things. I don't want to get on the air and, what you gonna do, brother, when Smooch runs wild on you?
Can I get a snap into a Slim Jim, Smooch?
Snap into a Slim Jim. Yeah. Rest in peace, Macho Man.
Did he die?
Yeah, they all die early.
Oh, man.
He died a while ago.
I used to really like wrestling when I was a kid, man.
Oh, me too. Matter of fact, do you remember the Russians, Boris Zukov and Nikolai Volkov?
Oh man, that probably was before my time. Not sure.
Yeah, they used to march around on WWE with their big red onesies, and the bald one was actually in my wedding. He was from South Alabama.
The bald one was at your wedding?
He was in my wedding. Yeah, it was my ex-wife's uncle.
No shit.
Yeah, I had to get him a 6X or 7X tux. It was crazy. Yeah, but I digress.
Sorry, I'm just reading, more stuff that people are DMing me, about him right now, and I won't share it, not because I'm worried about Goldie suing me for defamation, but because I'm not certain that these people want me to say this publicly. So if they would like to say otherwise, then, or if they would like to tell me that they're wanting to share this, then I'm happy to do it for them. But without anybody's approval, I'm not just going to go out and start throwing names around. But again, that's why I encourage people who are watching right now to go out and, ask people in our group yourself. Just, even just throw out a blanket tweet, like anybody who's had, interactions or whatever you feel is necessary to do. Don't just believe what I'm telling you and what my opinion is. Go out and check for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the bottom line here is that we've really haven't said everything that's transpired because of the people involved. And, that's why Dan has specifically said, talk to the people involved. There's more out there that we're just not going to throw out. deals with too many other things and leads into a lot of stuff. But the problem is exactly what we've laid out is enough to say, hey, we've got a problem here and let's address it head on. Once again, Goldie, come on in the room. Let's talk. Nobody is in here that's not willing to listen to what you got to say. I'll just put it that way.
I'd love to hear what he has to say personally.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing hearsay from people in multiple DM chat rooms right now that he's saying that he wants to specifically sue me for defamation. So not really sure that you can do that in a court of law if I'm giving you an opportunity to come on and defend yourself. And I'm no lawyer, but I'm also not really sure that you can tell me that you're going to sue for defamation for something that is my personal opinion and describes my personal interactions with you. You are not a public figure, so I don't think that I'm disparaging your reputation in any way. I don't believe you're losing business out of it. Oh, actually, wait, if you're trying to appropriate funds from people in our group for fraudulent purposes or not describe what those funds are being used for appropriately to them, then maybe you are an opportunist and you're trying to take money out of good people's pockets for under the guises of politics and enrich yourself on them, or spend it appropriately. I don't know. I've never given the guy any money, so again, you have the opportunity, so you can certainly come and defend yourself, and you are obviously choosing not to do so.
Well, the bottom line is we're talking, it's June 21st right now. We've got, little more than 4 months here, 5 months to get these candidates in line. Are we going to sit back and watch this other person misrepresent, polls, get on and use our platforms to spread lies just so he can catch a check from the campaign? I don't think so. I'm not going to be part of that again. So if I'm wrong about that, then I say, come on, let me know exactly how I'm wrong with that.
Yeah, precisely.
Where does this put, you got a coalition here that is basically has been badmouthed through all this, and they can't even really defend themselves because flat out they got shit they're doing. It's kind of counterintuitive. They've got to take care of the MAGA coalition business. And it's a sad state of affairs when you have people being taken advantage of, literally a dozen or more people coming to you and saying, hey, this is transpired. We have to deal with it. We have to bring it out. And if we don't, then, like you said, I'm done with Goldie. I don't care what his retorts and responses are down the road. This is the opportunity to come on in public to the people that, there's a lot of people in this room that have had dealings, and I'm sure they've got questions as well. That's
what?
His favorite line, ask me a question. Well, come on, we got questions. I just
got another, right-wing, I believe that the Travis Allen campaign may have been, but I don't know. Smooch, I just got another DM from somebody else. I won't share their name, but I'm going to read it right here off my other screen. I will not say anything in the room, but I've lost count how much he got from me. He called me a lot, $100 sometimes he asked me for. So that leads me to believe that, more than one time did he get either $100 or at least $100 at one point and then more after that. So again, under the guise of what? Is it somebody just calling to say, hey, as an individual, please give me money? Or is it hey, as a political donation for a volunteer grassroots organization, please give us money or donate to a campaign? I don't know. But multiple people, multiple times, he's gone back to the well to try to ask people for money.
Well, when he approached me, Dan, on it was for Torino and buying tickets for the event when you guys all went out there. And then he called me not long after that and wanted, he does kind of small talk. And then he's beating around. He's I'm not asking for money, but seriously, if you can give. And I'm like, well, how much do you need? And he's like, can you do 150? And it was for, the campaign or something. So, but that's how he approaches it.
Yeah, and that's fine, but doesn't it just seem like on the surface, I ask anybody here, like, doesn't that just seem slightly disingenuous that like you don't have a specific number that you're asking for? I mean, for fuck's sake, like the Girl Scouts come and try to sell you cookies and there's a price on the fucking box. The Boy Scouts show up and try to sell you popcorn, you know, and if you don't want to buy, you can give a donation and there's a suggested donation amount. Or the friggin', you know, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints shows up. Hey, would you like to give a donation? Suggested $10, suggested $25. You don't just kind of say, well, you know, can you give me some money? And, you know, and you're like, well, how much do you want? Well, $100 would be nice. You know, I mean, it just doesn't, what the fuck is that, man? Like, just, you know, fucking sack up and be like, hey, look, like, we're taking donations from people for, you know, political campaigns, and, you know, $50 or $100 donation would be a nice, substantial, you know, donation that you could give. You know, own that shit. If you're out there and you have no shame and you're willing to beg people for money, because that's what it is, you're shaking a fucking cup in front of people when you knock on their door or call them on the phone, then don't have any fucking shame. Just, hey, straight up, like, can you give me $100? If you can't give me $100, anything can help. We'll work for food. Come on here. You know, like, just own that shit.
Right. And own where it's going and what it's going for. I mean, that's the bottom line. You have a lot of generous people in this family. I am, you know, proof positive. I'm on a computer right now that the family come together and bought for me. So I know how generous this fam is. And I see how a lot of people in this fam don't even think twice when someone is in the fam and they're willing to give out their hard-earned money. And that's another reason why, you know, this scope had to happen. That had to. Another thing, we've got, you know, a very legitimate pollster who's taking a liking to the group, retweets our stuff, we support him, who was misrepresented here. And I haven't even really said much of his name because I'm not trying to drag him into this or make him feel like he's in some kind of drama. But it makes us look bad when you have someone like that, where the pollster actually has to block the guy's number from his phone and from his Twitter accounts. That's a sad state of affairs, and it makes all of us look less.
And then Smooch, we find out, like, after what he did with the Travis Allen campaign and the smeared and falsified numbers, we have other people in our fam that are legitimate volunteers for campaigns across multiple states. And those people have told us that that Gold Hat has called them or called those campaigns and tried to weasel his way in, tried to burrow his way in and offer additional polling data to some of those candidates, reportedly some of those at discounted rates, and also attempt to set up phone banking and other things where in most cases the actual campaign workers and the legitimate volunteers who are sanctioned by the campaign itself, the official workers and volunteers, have no fucking clue what this guy is doing. He's just going out there and doing his own thing. Now, look, I'm not saying that grassroots people shouldn't just step up and campaign for a person that they like, you know, but it's a totally different story when you purport yourself to be involved or try to squeeze in. Then that's the problem that you have, because you try to falsify the fact that you are, or hide the fact that you're not official and purport yourself to be an authority figure of some sort. And that's the problem. And that's where that pushiness and that overstepping of the boundary comes in, because during the Travis Allen situation, you have him coming in there and basically using a bullying tactic to say, well, you're not MAGA because you're not voting for this, or you're not that, or you're not this, and then basically exerting himself on top of you, saying, well, I know better than you, and then leading people to the trough to drink from because the only data that's coming out is falsified data that he's feeding you. And he's not providing the opportunity to say, go look at the source info yourself. Like exactly the opposite of what we're saying here tonight is go look at the source info yourself.
Exactly. It was all, I've seen the internals, you know, I've got the inside scoop. And it basically gaslit a lot of people in the fam into believing that Travis Allen had a chance to win when he never had a chance, and not win, finish second. And it also upset, a lot of people got upset with our president when, you know, he endorsed Cox, including yourself. And, you know, I don't know if it had anything to do with the numbers that you were being fed or anything else. I mean, we all know Cox was a cock. You know, he was not a good candidate, no doubt. But I think it just helped compound the whole thing, because we're hearing from someone supposedly in the know who's seen the numbers, that all we got to do is bust ass and give up your weekend and make phone calls, and we're going to turn the tide, which is exactly why I joined the MAGA coalition and why I joined this group of people, was so when we could have a chance to flex our freaking muscles and change that 1 or 2 percentage point by our sheer fucking will. And then I watched 18 point spread, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, can I just add that there was somebody very wise in our group, and since Trump was elected, these grassroots groups have been prime targets of grifters. And, you know, this is take this as, you know, from somebody very wise in our group that told us that. And so we just need to coalesce and just, you know, be really sure and listen to the leaders of how they guide us and where the truth is to prevent this shit.
Yep.
Well, true that. We've already seen it, and we've already exposed a lot of people throughout, you know, the obvious ones, like, you know, the zero tards and the dildo scammons and shit like that.
Yeah,
so that's why this one hurts even more, because it's someone that is...
It's more stealthier.
Yeah, it's true, because the last time I had to get on and do something like this and felt like my services were needed, I had to go deliver that fucktard praying medica beatdown. And then screaming harpies in my ear telling me I'm lying and blah, 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 and you're just misogynist and all this bullshit. And it's like, bitch, you didn't live through it yourself. You weren't there. All you know? And if you did, then they were lying out their assholes, and then guess what? They're not part of our group anymore, are they? And they get exposed as being ridiculous Q-tards, you know, spewing a bunch of bullshit that's verifiably untrue. People getting 734 votes for 500 grand and whatnot. So
50, but
yeah, whatever the fuck it was, you know. You know, look, as Smooch said at the beginning, though, in all honesty, look, you guys know I'm fired up. I don't always get this fired up, but when I do, it's for good reason. And tonight I'm fired up because I'm fucking pissed when people do this. And as Smooch said at the beginning, when you see something, say something. And if I can encourage people out there, it's such a corny fucking line.
Right.
But it's the honest truth, because of my personal experience and being involved behind the scenes and hearing drama and trying to just smooth things out and whatever else, is that I've heard many instances that people have come to in hindsight. And I'm not chastising any of those people or putting them down, but the common thread in all these situations of drama is that more than one person had some intuition or some experience that they didn't share with anyone else for whatever reason. And I understand that within our group, that in our fam, it's very difficult because there's no de facto leadership. You know, we just have this you know, organic amoeba of a bunch of us, you know, as little cells connecting with each other, you know, and that's the beautiful thing about it, is that it's completely organic like that. But as the downside of it, we do sometimes have situations like this that occur where multiple people experience things. And as I just read one earlier that someone sent me during this broadcast as a DM, and this is aside from the multitude of others that I've received before this broadcast, but someone just sent me this live a few minutes ago and asked specifically, please don't say my name, but I'll read through it briefly. It's about 2 paragraphs long. I followed him, meaning Goldie, on Periscope. I saw him through the MAGA Coalition scopes. He followed me back, and then at the next morning, he hit me up on Twitter and asked me for PayPal donations with a link for Puerto Rico. And then he asked where I lived. At this point, he was just an internet stranger, regardless of what MAGA group he claimed. And since I don't just tell anyone where I live, I blocked him on Twitter. Bad vibes. Happy to hear you calling out and saddened to hear others were taken by him. And you know what? In all honesty, like I said, I take slight amount of, you know, pleasure and schadenfreude in enjoying this victory for everybody tonight. But I don't even want to call it a victory, because literally, I mean, it's like a surgeon standing there after the operation is done, you know, cutting cancer out of somebody's abdomen, calling that a victory. And it's really not, because the patient is the one fighting the battle. We're just the people that are helping expunge the bad juju from the situation. So I take a little bit of joy and pleasure in knowing that we can help the group in that way. But beyond that, once it's over, it's fucking over.
Done and move on.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, when I opened the scope, this is with a heavy heart, and it is, because like you said, you're dealing with a cancer patient that's having it ripped out. I understand the feelings of thank God it's coming out, because since basically for 9 days, I've been sitting here trying to put this together in my own mind, knowing that something has to be done, and watching and actually fearing that other people are being taken advantage of while I'm waiting and trying to work it out with other people. How's the best way to deal with this? So, the only way I know to deal with it is like you, is face this shit head on. We aren't cowards. There's very few cowards in this group. And in this fam, I can't think of any. So, we are the type that when you see something that's, usually alphas, you have problems with alpha males, alpha females sometimes. We're all alphas here. And when we see something, we have to say something. We have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hate the corny line too, but I couldn't come up with anything freaking better just to say it the way it is. That, my God, guys, I cannot watch a friend being taken advantage of. It's like watching the pickpocket go through and just, take money out of people's pockets and not doing anything about it. You're just as bad as the fucking pickpocket if that's what you allow to happen.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's why, that's why we're doing what we're doing, is because if it helps the people that were duped, that, unfortunately got pulled in, to his, conning behavior or suckered in, whatever you want to call it, then that's the best we can do. Again, just within a few seconds as you were talking, Smooch, another DM from somebody who would prefer to remain nameless, but says that she was called relentlessly. And yes, keep my name out of it, but she was called relentlessly. He hit me up for about $300 over time. I got pissed and said I needed to give money directly to candidates. I asked numerous times how Angie was doing, and I would get no answer, meaning Angie Chirino.
Right. I mean, you're donating money for a cause. Like you say, you want to be able to see what's happening, what it's going for. And now it makes me question everything that transpired. Like you mentioned it earlier, the hurricane relief. And then it was Puerto Rico after that. And, I hope every single one of those events went exactly the way they were supposed to. And I do believe they did, because as far as I know, Juan Fiol, top-notch fella, he was running all of that. He was in control of donations, of money. So, it makes me feel better along that end. But it sucks that we have to go back and question every dollar we gave to any freaking cause that he pushed. And boy, did he push and push and push.
Yeah, and look, if it was the opposite way, like if he was doing things in a righteous fashion, then we'd be all championing the man right now for going out there and raising money and doing it, in a legitimate fashion. And, it's like I said before, it's like the Girl Scout or Boy Scout analogy. It's like the people who, it's the people who, go out there and raise the most money for their troop, like they get a friggin' merit badge for it, like that's something that you should be proud of, not slinking away from it and not coming on, to a Periscope broadcast to defend yourself when we give the opportunity to do so. That for me is enough right there. And you combine that with all the other information that we know to be true at this point, then obviously the gentleman is not a gentleman. He is a nefarious character. So, in that respect, I say I'm just glad, good riddance. Like I said earlier, we're getting rid of the cancer. And, I'm just glad to know that the majority of people in our fam and group are made aware of what's going on right now, and that he will not be, accepted, I think, by any of us for the most part. But again, I'm not speaking for anybody else except for myself at this point. But knowing the heart and the minds of most of the people in this group, I'm pretty well certain that he's no longer welcome, which for me, in our simulcast tonight, Smooch, is exactly why I titled my Periscope broadcast, Farewell Gold Hat, because I won't be seeing any more of him.
Amen.
Yeah, I'm going to just put on briefly on my screen to make sure nobody doesn't think I haven't given Goldie the chance to come on. Basically, this is my direct message with Goldie.
He's just gonna, yeah, that's a good idea.
It says, well, actually, that's the that's him actually asking me to make 400 phone calls on that day, and then on tomorrow 400 more, and Tuesday 400 more. But anyway, at the very bottom, you'll see the Zoom. Oh shit! I just did that live. All right, anybody jumps on my Zoom that ain't supposed to, I'm gonna chop your nuts off.
I was wondering how you're gonna blur that out.
I just doxed myself. Way to go! Way to fucking go, Smooch.
Time to change the number now.
Yeah, I can't do it. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, doesn't matter. It's like
there. I sent it, and once again, I put the call out, face this head on. Everything was, the people being harassed was done privately. Let's deal with this publicly and get it out in the open. And if you don't, then that's it. I write you off. Dan writes you off. Several other members write you off. And, you just, good luck. Good luck. Do what you do. As far as I'm concerned, Goldie, you'll be dead to me personally.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
It's that simple.
Again, this is my interlude every few minutes. From another person, he got $300 from a fan member, which I believe this person is talking about themselves. He got $300 from a fan member and calls and texts them still every few days asking for large amounts of money, demanding it. He knows he has money and trying to get anything he can constantly.
Well, that's sad. I mean, but it's exactly what I kind of figured when people started popping up on the chat, and all these family members that don't want to make waves, all these family members that don't want to cause any more turmoil within the fam have sat here and been quiet, and this is what they're telling you. So it's listen to the fam. That's all I can tell you, folks. Talk to some of the people that dealt with it.
Yep.
Talk to some of the people personally that dealt with it. It's not just Jen and us. Talk to Glenn, talk to Adam. I'm sure that, they've got things that they can say, but there's a lot of people out there that are, and a lot that want to remain nameless. So I respect that, but I guarantee you nobody's just throwing stuff like that out there for no reason. That's not how anybody in this fam works. Nobody in this fam, wants to see stuff like this happen, but we certainly have to protect our fam when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's anybody else out there that would like to, join us or give their own, personal experience, we don't like I said, I don't want this to continue to be beating a dead horse, but we get one shot at this because I'm not partaking in this bullshit again. So
Amen.
This is anybody's opportunity out there.
You can DM me and I'll send you the Zoom link.
Yeah, there you go. Because it's like, what? And this is just, cathartic for everybody who wants to be involved at this point, who's had experiences to voice them, to get it off their chest, and just to move on from here and just put all the bad shit behind us.
Exactly. And that's the way I'm going to be. I will not mention this on any other scope. Normally, when I find someone to berate, or I find scamming in the MAGA movement or racism or not, I'll never stop, sounding the horn. This is a different situation for me. This is a one-time deal. Let's get this shit out there. You're welcome to come on to the scope. You're welcome to deal with this head on. And if not, then it's it. I'm done with it. Tomorrow night, I've got an extremely awesome interview I'm looking forward to with Rio Grande Texan down in McCallum, Texas, Jason down there. So I'm pumped about that. And my focus is going to be on that is the minute I turn this Periscope off.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking. I like Jason, and I think he got I was seeing something like did he get retweeted by the president, or did a picture get posted of him?
Retweeted a picture of him in it was in 16. I'm trying to remember the exact date.
So it got retweeted again, because I remember he got that right? Like when we went to Texas the first time and I met he and his father, I think I learned about that, right? They got retweeted or the picture taken with the president, and then that happened. They did. He got it twice now. It happened to him again.
Nope. That was the same one.
Oh, okay.
That was the same one. Yeah, I just because he was in McAllen, Texas today, I decided to bring that back up.
Oh, gotcha.
Leah found it actually. The great sleuth Leah posted it, and I was like, all right. That's pretty cool because the story Jason told us was he didn't even know he'd been retweeted. He didn't even know he'd been retweeted.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that now. Yes.
Hello, B, and welcome to the room.
Hi, B. What's
What
happening?
up, BB?
B and
Hello.
Callie.
How are you guys?
We're good. Your full name is up there. Do you want me to take that off?
Sure. I don't
Okay.
really care. It's on everything. Like I care.
Okay.
I do real estate. I'm everywhere.
All right.
Not really. I wish. Anyway, I just wanted to give my perspective really quick because you know, I really was excited about this event because I haven't been able to go to a lot of them. I have to stay kind of local just because I have children. I have 4, and I want to be, easy access for my parents if for some reason, something happens or whatever. So when I knew there was an Anaheim event, I was like, well, I'd love to go. And of course, then when I found out so many great candidates were going to come, I thought this is an opportunity to be a part of real grassroots, okay, is what I was being told. Plus, I get to actually meet the people and talk to them about my personal agenda, which, my husband and I are strong Christians, and well, sometimes, just kidding. And we all have mistakes. And we also homeschool our children. So for me, being able to meet a judge who may shape and help enforce laws that are a struggle for our family to go through was like a huge opportunity for me. So of course I'm thinking this is going to be great. Maybe I'll get 5 seconds to talk to him. I don't know. So we got to the event and we were very excited, and we come up and there's barely anybody there. And I'm thinking to myself, there must be, a different room, or maybe this is just a different kind of event. I don't know. But I just have to say, I went there and I helped. I wanted to help when I found out that there needed to be help that had to be had. And so I did it. And when I got there, I just was like, this is very embarrassing. It was very unorganized to me. And I don't know, whose fault that was, except for the fact that I immediately called Goldie and I said, hey, Goldie, I don't say this to anyone because I really don't want this to look badly on anybody, but we need butts and seats here. Like, this is an event that can hold maybe 1,000 to 6,000 people. I don't know, like 1,000 people at this event. It's an open air area. Plus there's all these tables that aren't set up for candidates, but should have been had marked with for each candidate. I don't know. I'm very I want everything perfectly set up for people, and I thought, okay, this is, going to be a good representation for them. But I felt the opposite. I felt embarrassed. I kept getting asked questions like, where are all the people? And things like,
No, that was you texting me.
No. But no, I actually got the question too from a member. Several people came up to me and then, this was the response. Oh, they're all kind of dispersed. I'm like, dispersed? This place is the size of Disneyland, and dispersed would not really work for this type of event, more like there's not enough people here. So when I said, we need to have butts and seats, like, what do I need to do? What can I do right now? What should I call all my family? I mean, I have family that live in Anaheim. Let me call them. I mean, of course, I would love to have gotten my family there at $50 a head, but I just know a lot of my family can't afford it. So I'm thinking, can I just get them here to just be bodies in the seats? Because this is really unfortunate. And I'm embarrassed for the people. And he was like, oh no. He's like, well, this is the problem with California, and then he went through this whole thing, which I thought was really odd. It just started with, well, I gave tickets to the Republicans, blah, 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 children, kids, Republicans, I don't know, something at college students, right? And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they're going to come. But meanwhile, there's this table full of name tags that haven't come. Plus, there weren't even probably name tags. I had to handwrite name tags in, which I was like, you kidding me? Thank God I can spell, although I messed up one name. Anyway, I just was like, come on, this is nuts. So, I tried to kept scooting people, and even Aaron Cruz was scooting people in. And I want to say to people, I know not all of you are from California. I totally understand. This is kind of oh, so stupid, California. But listen, if you were in your state and you knew that the governor was going to be at an event, you would not only want to be there yourself if you're, as MAGA as we're trying to all be, but you would want to see the best for them, and you would want to be clapping the loudest, and you'd be smiling and like laughing at their jokes. Like, I was so embarrassed that people were getting up and leaving. And then the judge speaks at like 10 o'clock and there's no one there. There was very few people there, let me be honest. And I made my husband go and count how many people were at this event. Who, by the way, MAGA Gold Hat kept asking me in the Travis Allen room to take a picture of the crowd, which I was like, I don't want to do that. I'll take a picture of me and my husband. I'm not taking a picture of the crowd. First of all, I don't know if people would want their picture. Secondly, I don't think it's fair to show the small crowd. And I'm trying to be like a straight shooter and not blame anyone for anything, but like, this is definitely something that was on his shoulders and should have been managed from the front end to the back end to the everywhere. And he was gone. He wasn't even there. If he wanted to manage the event, he should have been there. That's my opinion. And I feel like it was unfortunate that it was left on someone else's shoulders, but not just that, other people that weren't even a part of the event. So
yeah, I'm not real familiar about the event. I didn't even know that he was a part of that event, to be honest. That's why we hadn't really mentioned a lot about I heard him, pimping the event, but I didn't know he was a part of the event officially in any way or had anything to do with
MAGA Candidates Forum was on the paperwork for it, everything.
What was his response when you called him?
When I called him, immediately he tried to take the blame off of himself. I mean, and say, well, I don't know what happened. I don't know. I mean, there's so many people. And then he said, well, this is a problem with your state. And I'm always like, you're right. Okay. And you know what? You're so right. Actually, we do have a problem. And I felt like, gosh, I didn't do enough to get people here. Wow, I'm terrible. And then I was like, wait a second. I know that my family that I would have invited to come in the area probably would have been like, they probably wouldn't have wanted to pay that much money to go, honestly, or because they could go to a GOP event and go for free and just sit and listen to candidates, or they would have wanted to know directly, is this specifically supporting these candidates so I can give money to them or not? And in my opinion, when you go to certain events, I think that there should be a portion of the money that goes to them because it's like a speaking fee to me. I don't know. Maybe that's not right. Maybe that's not how campaigns work. I don't know, but that's my thought.
Well, he, from what I understand or what I was told, that while they were doing the ground pound and then they went to the chili event and he was scoping from the chili event, he ended up just was trying to get people sell tickets, and then buy veterans tickets. So.
Well, yeah, veterans tickets, but I only put, just so you know, I was at the front table giving people their name tags because there was no one there. And I felt very responsible to manage that one area because not only did I want to greet people that were maybe from our group, but I was like, this is a good opportunity to maybe even meet all the candidates right up front because I didn't know how busy it was going to be. And I also wanted to honor the people who were veterans because they had little special sticker stars that you put on their name tag. And I thought, well, that'll be great to be able to know who are the veterans. I mean, I take those things very seriously.
Please tell me, because I also donated for a ticket. How many veterans tickets or stickers, name tags did you give out?
Maybe 4.
4?
But let me just be honest with that, though. Here's the thing. I may have put 4 little stickers on different people between me and another person that was helping. I don't know if she wants her name mentioned, so I won't say anything. But between her and I, maybe 4 to 5 at the most that were veterans. And of those other name tags, there were probably about 30 total that never came. So maybe there were some there that were the tickets. However, I mean, I asked several times to see the actual who paid, because, at one point when I was helping at the front, I didn't know if people paid for the full price of their ticket or not, because she said, oh, well, there's $50 for the basic ticket and $75 if you ordered extra drinks. I'm like, well, who ordered extra drinks? She goes, just ask. And I was like, but how do I know they're telling me the truth? Although you would think everybody would be telling the truth, but you don't know. And I didn't know if the drinks were paid for. So at one point I was like, chill, if these drinks aren't paid for, like, what's going to happen? Like, do you have enough money? Like, should I help with this? Because I'm looking at nobody being there. And I'm thinking, should I offer? So I said, if you can't cover this, please let me know. I'm going to do my best to help, because I don't want her to be stuck with a $400 bill at the end or worse. However, I know what I can do for my family, and $400 is already a lot for me to assume that my husband would be like, okay, because we were staying up there too. So it was already an expense to us in some ways, but
Right.
a totally well given expense. I mean, I wanted to be there, so I know it's a choice, but at the same time, I'm sitting here offering my family money for this, whatever, but I didn't pay it. So I'm not going to say that it was like I was taken advantage of. No, but I feel like everybody should be well taken care of in our group, because we are good people.
Right, but we're
generous
dealing with, and I don't really want to go into it much, because I don't know the ins and outs. I know that some people have asked for the ins and outs and the actual numbers, but I don't know the ins and outs. I just know this personally, and this is where I'm going to leave it, because I don't want to go into much about WTF, because Goldie wasn't there, for one, and this thing was about Goldie, and two, I'll just throw out my own personal opinion. If you do anything in a vet's name and people do not show up, then you take your extra money and you donate that to a veteran cause. And I haven't seen that. Maybe that's happened and transpired. I would love to see that. But I know when, of at least 25 to 30, possibly 40 veterans tickets were bought, then, I would expect to see that in the future, hopefully, that this veterans cause, was donated to in our names, because I'm unemployed. I gave money that was given to me, so I'm not some saint here, and I counted my pennies to do this, but, people helped me out, and I felt like I could help a veteran out. And that, made me feel good about, my situation, made me feel better. So I'll leave it there. Because I just don't know the ins and outs and the details. And
but I asked about the event as if it was because of the way that it was advertised. Let me just say, I know what you're saying, that it didn't actually say he wasn't a part of the event, but he was advertising for people to go to the event. It was a big push weeks before, and even, maybe to help with the initial person who started the event. But however, he was pushing for people to buy tickets, and MAGA Forum Candidates was on the paperwork on the, what is it called? The Twitter page. It said sponsored by or something, I'm just like, and when you sponsor something.
He did put his stamp on it.
It was on the ticket. I think I took a picture of the ticket.
I was in the telecon and he put a stamp on it. So take that.
Yeah. There's that. My thoughts.
There we go. Now I'm on. Dan, have you had any more interesting contacts?
I'm sorry to. Yeah, I was listening the whole time, and I'm trying to
no, you
keep
weren't.
on. Liar. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. But I'm listening to you guys, and then at the same time trying to have text chats with people in the DMs right now, because people are literally saying that they gave this guy thousands of dollars. Like, what one particular person is saying thousands with an S.
Wow. Well, I know someone's in my room saying that they just said, God, I gave so much money.
Oh.
So,
And look, I want to preface that, even though it's like way down the middle of this situation now, is that we don't know where this money went. Like, I'm not sitting here saying all of this money went to nefarious purposes or for him to live on or whatever else. But the point is that he's reaching into the well of the fam multiple times, going back to the same people in very abrasive fashions and taking money from them and purporting to use it for what, I don't exactly know, because he never actually hit me up directly for money. He may have been giving people a different story or answer the entire time, but what I do know 100% to be 100% true is that he pushed people past their comfort zone. He, I was going to use a very offensive term, so I'm going to rethink my freedom of speech here for a second. But effectively was figuratively whipping people to make phone calls, and push them way past their comfort zone during the primaries while feeding people false data, knowingly false data. At the same time, he was getting at least one check of an unknown amount from an actual political campaign, verified in person by two beloved members of the fam while he was staying at their house. And beyond that, purportedly, as B was saying before, this supposed MAGA candidates forum and these veterans tickets for the WTF event, you know, we were there, we saw it. We don't know if those were money that tickets. I'm sorry, that if there was, I'm stumbling a little bit. If there were monies that people were asked for under the guise of veterans tickets or any other, like, for lack of a better term, quote unquote, donation that were supposed to be used for these veterans tickets to give veteran seats to this event, we didn't see them there in any sort of numbers that corresponded to what we've been told people donated under the guise of veterans tickets. And outside of that, I don't know what promises were made to people, whether these funds were supposed to be towards the Chirino campaign or to any other political candidate, but he is not a registered entity with the FEC, to my knowledge. It's not like you're giving money to the super PAC as if it were the MAGA coalition or any other super PAC. My understanding, and I could be wrong on that, so if anybody knows differently, please correct me. I didn't actually look up to see if he has an FEC filing of any sort. I suspect not, but if he does, please correct me if I'm wrong.
If he would come on, we could just ask him.
It would be cut and dry so that he wouldn't have to threaten to sue me for defamation. But, but we don't know where this money went. And all we're showing people right now is that a repetitious pattern of verbal abuse and pushing people beyond their comfort zone has occurred with multiple people. And I'm not saying that there's sorry, I'm getting bombarded. I'm not saying that, maybe some of that money didn't go to political donations, but, if the man would come on and defend himself, then we would know, and you would set a lot of people at ease who are very upset for the thousands of dollars that they've given under the guise of political contributions or donating to an event, none of which have amounted to any confirmation back to them whatsoever.
I'm going to go, by the way. Bye, y'all.
Okay.
Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you, B.
Bye, B.
Yes, bye, you guys. I'm going to listen. All right, bye.
All right, later.
Bye.
Anybody else is welcome to come on. Just DM me and I will send you the link, including you, Goldie. Especially you, Goldie.
Yes, Goldie, please come on.
There's questions that need to be answered. There's fam that feel like they've been taken advantage of. There's fam that feel like they've been abused. And that's an unacceptable situation. So come on down. And I think at the end of the day, we're not going to see Goldie come on. And that's, you know, we just have to figure it out from there. Like Dan has said over and over again, research this, check it out for yourself, ask him, ask others that are there. And, you know, it's obvious. We've probably heard from, you know, almost 24 people now when you add all the different messages coming in the room, or at least 20. So there's, you know, 20 members of the fam. That's a big enough portion of the fam that I think that voice needs to be heard. And so I'm glad that we at least got this out there.
Yeah, me too, Smooch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm just still dealing with the bombarding of new information that people are sending me as a result of us doing this, you know, more than we had to begin with.
Right. And I'm seeing people that I didn't, you know had these dealings as well, that are talking in chat rooms and are talking in the chat and saying, hey. So, I mean, really, it could be easily taken care of, and this could be addressed and dealt with.
Yeah, apparently it could.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish it would. I really do. Because after tonight, I'm done with it. You're done with it. We're done with it. A lot of people are just going to be done. like you said, there's no accountability on money. Not a lot of people, when they find that out, are going to, well, there could be no accountability. Like you said, you haven't checked if there's an FEC filing or if he is an FEC entity, but it appears that he's not. And it appears that, well, most people just want a little bit of accountability on where their money's going.
It's called an audit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm not trying to, give the guy an audit, but I am giving him a platform and a chance to come on here and, tell me what the bottom line is. Tell me how simple it is. Explain it to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm another person here. I'm just finally catching up to everything. I came very close to quitting the fam because of incessant demands on my pocketbook. I have health restraints that prohibit me from grounding and pounding, feeling like I wasn't MAGA enough and couldn't measure up to MAGA coalition apparent new direction. We can't afford not to talk about this. How would you know? And this one is extremely important because you see people in our group now, for whatever reason, are under the guise, at least this particular person, that whatever Gold Hat had going on was directly affiliated with the MAGA coalition. So I never saw him say that whatsoever, but when we have a close-knit group of people like this that communicate digitally, and that's our main connection to each other, we all travel in the same small circle, and I could see how somebody could look at it that way and not quite catch that. So, I just feel terrible, and I'm certainly glad, at least I feel like, we're doing this. Another one literally just says, "Me too!" exclamation, $, and like not a happy looking emoji.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. I can't. I feel so terrible, but it also along the way tells me I'm doing and we're doing the right thing. In calling this out. And again, people are telling me. I had received word before that this guy apparently wants to sue me for defamation. I don't know if he's threatening that against anybody else, but I've given plenty of opportunity for this person to come on and defend himself. I haven't used his first name at all this evening. I've only called him by MAGA Gold Hat. That's all I know him by. And at one point, I made the mistake of giving the guy my phone number, in which I believe he only called me like once or twice. I think twice. I think once I missed the call. I blocked the guy's number. Like I have nothing to say to the man over the phone as a one-on-one conversation. Anything that he would like to say to me is going to be said in the same public forum right now that I'm speaking to the rest of you on, so that it's documented to refute any claims that we made tonight. I'm not going to be speaking to him in private in any respect, and I'd be pretty flabbergasted if he actually decides to pursue legal action against me for exposing him as just basically an asshole that he is. I don't think that I've alleged any criminal behavior. I just happen to be saying that the guy's an asshole and that he's, in my opinion, and I think vindicated or at least corroborated by a number of DMs to people, that he acts in a misogynistic manner towards women, and I take offense to that, regardless of male or female. It just is. I think it's a shitty thing to do to people.
Exactly. We don't beat each other down and have who's got the bigger MAGA competitions around here. Everybody MAGA's in their own way. A simple retweet is MAGA in my book. I don't know how many times I've said that on my scopes, trying to encourage people. Not everybody scopes. A simple retweet and trying to help spread the word. That's MAGA. Watching your president and freaking supporting him and getting your ass out there and voting. That's MAGA. All these sons of bitches that we fought with earlier, they didn't even freaking vote, we find out. So, it's obvious that if he came on, we could deal with this. It's not going to do it. It's obvious we're doing the right thing because of all the testimonials that are coming out. Well,
yeah, exactly.
Happy day. Jen. It's beautiful Jen.
Hey,
Love
Jen.
a latte.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Happy family birthday days.
sound.
Holy
and-
bright light, Batman.
She'll get it in just a second, guys.
Yeah, she'll hit the audio.
I got nabbed by that too when I first got on earlier.
Are you guys there?
Yes.
Hi. I'm just finishing up from my family obligation.
Yes. Happy birthday to the birthday man.
Yes, when I
birthday.
say obligation, I meant, and it was a nice obligation. Let me put it that way.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you came in to join us. I don't know if you've caught any of the festivities.
I caught the last, like when B came in a little bit, because I didn't have it on, and then my mom was listening with us. So I don't really know what you guys have said, and I'll just cover a couple things that I heard. You know, I want to point out that Chill had every intention of having a great event. She wanted there to be a band and great candidates and lots of rally for California. And I have no proof of this except for text messages and things. Chill was also gaslit by Goldie and with the Allen. And if anybody was here and you'd go to any Allen rallies, can you guys hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So if you went to any of the Allen rallies, he had hundreds of followers at these rallies, a lot. And I think Chill's hope, and well as Goldie selling this to Chill, was that once Allen would win, Allen was going to speak at the event, and all those followers would want to come because they really loved Allen. And Allen is no Trump. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. But the excitement just to go to an Allen rally or just to be near him, his charisma is very unusual for a politician. He's not what I would call your typical politician. He's a good-looking guy. He's young. He's surferish. He's a local. And that had a lot of appeal to young people who were going to come out for the event. So the gold hat, so in terms of manipulating or anything to get people to an event that wasn't going to be as successful as she wanted, was never her intention. And I wanted just to make that clear on that sense. Where I got really irritated with Gold Hat is, you know, the polls, the lying, him staying at the house. I can like forget all that. I can like, it's annoying, and I didn't like it once I found out, and I figured it out. I started figuring it out. And on one night, he slipped to Brian and said, I think it was Monday night after I had walked literally 15 miles, saying about for the day, that, you know, I think I was taking a shower. He says, well, I know Allen's not going to win. I knew he was never going to win. And Brian said, what? What do you mean he's never going to win? You knew he was never going to win. And Brian was like, he got take back because I think the gig was up. And, you know, that really upset Brian. And Brian didn't tell me because he just wanted to see how the next day on Tuesday would come out. And when I had talked to Gold Hat about the polls, if anybody wants to know about that, it was, hey, the polls are close. Somebody local in the fam is paying for my trip out there. I said, really? He says, because they're really, really tight. And I said, well, is this the PPD poll? And he said, yes, the White House polls. And here's the thing is that Adam Gingrich and I were chatting back and forth, and I was saying, you know, Goldie says this is this your poll? And I should have trusted Adam. I mean, I'm so stupid, right? I was thinking, but I didn't expect someone to lie and come all the way out to California if the polls weren't close. I said, well, maybe Goldie had a PPD poll that I'm not seeing. And in fact, there was like a little bone of contention with Adam and I about this. And he's like, okay, I didn't mean any disrespect, you know? And I was like, well, Goldie is about to come to my house in like 24 hours. I just want to know what's going on with the poll. And it kind of was dropped and he was already here. And the thing is, the close percentage, what I found out later when I actually saw the real PPD poll, and mind you, I never did see the poll. And that's on me. I should have checked the poll out. I should have said, hey, this is the poll. Let me see it. And then basically, I didn't do that though. I just took it on word. And that I don't blame anyone but myself for not trusting Adam Gingrich. Okay. So when I later saw the poll, I mean, there was no way. He said it was a few, in his opinion, it was a few percentage points down because there were so many undecided electorate. There's no way, even with the undecided, half of it, even if half the undecideds went to Allen, there was no way that it would still make up the difference after I saw the PPD poll. And he was telling me 2 to 3%, maybe 3 to 4%. That's what he kept saying. And that's why I kept pushing so hard. And I did have final exams to grade, and I had all this paperwork, and I literally slept 2 to 3 hours for like 2 or 3 nights. And I think he saw that. So he said, no, this day you need to stay home and grade, because I was trying to go out with him. And then I was trying to get my final exams in. And so I wouldn't have minded if he would have said to me, like, hey, Jen, I really want to come and help Chill sell tickets to the Whiskey Tango event. She needs some financial help. That's why I'm really needing to come out there, and we're going to do events and whatever. And I would have been okay with that, knowing that that was the premise. But having me go and sort of not know the real poll numbers, and then telling other people associated with other campaigns that I'm going to leave out of this, those numbers, and knocking on doors and having phone calls. And it was a Saturday, and Brian and I went out. We went out for Rohrabacher's campaign and Allen. In Orange County, it's a GOP endorsed ticket. So there was multiple candidates on there. So it wasn't like I was hitting doors for Dana Rohrabacher and Allen at the same time. And when I asked people who they were voting for, they all said they voted Cox or they were voting Cox. And when I'd have this conversation with people, they said, the polls, do you see he's like 15 points behind in the poll? I'm like, no, he's not. He's only this and this. They're like, I don't know what polls you're looking at. So the thing is, I should have clued in more. And I only take responsibility for myself. And I wanted probably Allen to win a lot too. But if I would have seen the polling, I would have not killed myself and started walking like I was doing the things in the degree. I would have finished my work first, and then I would have done this. Now, Goldie also told me that he was using his frequent flyer miles on his new credit card, which has an amazing balance, the night he got here to fly here. So first it was a fam member, then it was maybe he put it on his credit card. I have no proof. I have no knowledge of this. Okay. Why this is an irritant for me was because when he was here, I knew that Chill was in financial trouble for the event, meaning that she didn't have enough tickets sold to cover the total venue costs. And I don't know all the details, the venue or something, I don't know what happened, something with the contract, and she needed to owe an extra $1,000 that she wasn't counting on, meaning her food and beverage couldn't be reduced. And that happens, and I understood that. So then she was really stressed out. And at that time, before he came out here, I gave Chill a donation to the event, and then I also bought some veterans tickets. That's it. And that was all my real involvement. Chill had told me she had all the candidates, she had everything that she needed done. That was all. While he was here, he kept saying to me, Chill needs money for the event. Chill needs money for the event. She needs money. And I never knew, I knew the extent of things, right? I knew the extent that they were having some problems with that, but I just tried to pitch in the best that I could. So he leaves on Wednesday and he calls me and I say goodbye in the morning, and I'm not even angry at this time because I didn't realize about the polls. I wished him a good flight, and he says, do me a favor, Glenn and Adam want to make, the MAGA coalition wants to make a contribution to the event. And he says, can you follow up with Glenn? He just has to transfer the money. Okay. And I said, okay. He says, because I'm getting on a plane. Then after that, it was another lady that we were working with. Adam Goldhat tried to get this stranger, this person that was an acquaintance of this lady, to buy $500 of veterans tickets. And the lady we were with said, you know, she's having an MRI. She tried to tell him multiple times that, you know, this lady has some other issues. She just had some financial things. It probably wouldn't be a good time, but he still kept telling this person, pick up the phone and call her, pick up the phone and call her. Now, this is a person we've met, fought for 2 days. So that was uncomfortable, but I just was quiet because I thought, you know what, it's their event. I'll just stay out of it. And then when he left, he said, besides calling Glenn, can you text this person and find out if her friend is going to donate the $500 of veterans tickets? And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I was doing it because I wanted Chill's event to be successful, and I wanted her to be able to make the payments. This is 3 days before the event. And I knew all the candidates were coming. And so after that, I text this lady, and she did not seem very thrilled and just said something else. And she texted me back that night about something else, and she never mentioned the veterans tickets. And I wasn't going to badger her because I don't even know her very well, nor do I know this other lady at all. I called Glenn, and Glenn's like, well, I told Goldie I have to talk to Adam. And so Goldie took it as, I think Glenn said something like, yeah, I would be great to give the money. However, I got to get it cleared from Adam. So it took me a little time to reach Adam and get it straightened out, and it goes into Thursday now. On Thursday, Goldie starts texting me, calling me, all this stuff. Did you get the money? Did you get the money? And I said no. And I texted him because Adam has to do other things. What people don't understand is that the coalition, now I'll make this clear, Chill never asked, and I've said this, the coalition to get involved. She didn't. Goldie told her, like he told me, that, hey, the coalition is going to give you some money. But what you have to understand is the coalition has donor money. They can't just give money. There's a lot of FEC guidelines that they have to follow. And at that particular point, it took some time to figure out how to give money that's within applicable rules of the FEC guidelines. And so Goldie's on Thursday is texting me saying, and I'm getting messages from Chill, they're going to cancel. Where's the money? Glenn was supposed to do this. And I don't want to get into all the particulars. My answer to Goldie was this. My answer to him was, please don't, I texted him and I said, you're a co-sponsor of the event. You need to provide, you need to cover the remaining balance. This is not, you're a co-sponsor, you need to provide the remaining balance. Because suddenly I got dragged into this sort of thing. And then after that, basically, he called me. And as I was telling him that he needed to provide the remaining balance, that this was not anybody's responsibility but his own, because he is a co-sponsor of the event, he hung up on me. And that's my last time I have ever spoken with Gold Hat, and it's because he didn't like me calling him out for saying, hey, you need to, this is your event, you're a co-sponsor. And I was irritated that I got put in the middle of getting funds that for an event that I did not host, even though I wanted the event to be successful. And I was upset that other people, he did not make the call himself. I said to him on the phone, if you call Adam and Glenn, you're the one that made you have this conversation, not me. And that's kind of where it left off. So this whole thing got, I don't know how I believe that when the Allen didn't win, I think that Chill and Goldie, or Chill believing Goldie, was thinking that all these people were going to come into the event. And to clarify something I did hear, Smooch, there was no money left over. All the money went towards the venue. Okay. So it went towards, there was no, that I know of, there's no profit that was made. It was just.
And that's okay too. If that was explained, that's, through all of this, just be real with me, Yeah. And I appreciate that. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, the bottom line out of the whole situation, though, was that we found out that he or his organization, even though they were listed as a co-sponsor, never had any financial investment to that particular event at all. Which, from a humanistic standpoint, from a fam standpoint, that's just shit. Like, we know people that gave out of our pocket for that event, and people, including myself, that bought tickets and were there at that event, and then for someone to cut a deal however they did, or whatever the situation was, but that was not cool. And, there was, it's like, whatever the agreement was, who actually knows? None of us were party to that actual agreement, but from what it looked like standpoint, and how he reacted, specifically to you, Jen, I mean, that's a pretty shitty way to react to somebody after you've just opened the doors to your home to them for 6, 7, 8 days, and they've stayed there, and then instead of communicating like a reasonable human being, just decides to simply hang up the phone and not have any further conversation with you. So,
and that's why I was very upset, and that's what really set me off. That set me off like nothing else, because to me, hanging up the phone on someone when you're trying to help out, and I was trying to help out, I was trying to reach Adam and Glenn, and they have to do things in their way. And the other thing is, it's like I had that on with 2 days, or the event was going to be canceled, and we had candidates coming. And the one other thing that I will say is, when I confronted Gold Hat and said, you need to pay, and this is not the coalition's responsibility, because it was not Chill putting this responsibility on the coalition. And I want to make that very clear. She was told something, and then I basically was as I was, and then I basically said, it's not the coalition's responsibility to cover an event that you are co-sponsoring. It's not their event. And then when he went into a tirade saying unkind things about the coalition as they were trying to help out, where I know that he didn't give any money. Okay. And my whole thing was, I know he came back here to get a check from the Allen campaign for something. This was and I also said this afterwards. I said, if you have a check that you just got paid, I don't care if it's $200. I don't care what the check is for. I don't care if it's for $50. I don't care what it is. That check needed to go to the event so that the expenses were paid because you are a co-sponsor of the event. And that's why I was angry. And it's not everybody else's, the fam's responsibility that he was putting it on, or the coalition's responsibility. If you want to claim it as co-sponsored by MAGA Candidates Forum, then when things don't go well, and then you need to pony up with the rest of the money. And that's what really has really upset me about this, is because there were strangers here that we were trying to get money from, that I was put in the situation that I don't even know and I had just met, that I didn't feel comfortable with. But I was doing it because I didn't want the event to fail or not go through, because I knew candidates, great candidates were there, as B said. And we did get a lot of time with the candidates. I never ever spoke to Gold Hat after that. And once somebody hangs up on me, he did text me the next morning and said, sorry about that. California got under my skin. It's like, how did California get under your skin? I drove you around here for days. I went and got you some food, whatever you needed at the grocery store. I tried to make everything comfortable. I pretty much did whatever schedule he wanted to do. I don't know how it would have gotten under your skin. And the other thing was, I said to him is, in my opinion, as a co-sponsor of the event, I know he left on Wednesday. He should have stayed till Saturday to help with the event. If you're a co-sponsor and you want that responsibility, then you need to own that responsibility. And I don't care what the excuses are. If you're co-sponsoring an event in another state, you need to be there. And that's another reason he hung the phone up, because frankly, they just he didn't like what I was saying. So that was my experience. And, the polling thing was annoying. I was very upset, but what set me off was the combined money issue, hanging up the phone on me, then the polling after staying in my house for 7 or 8 days. That's what kind of got under my skin.
Well, I mean, where I come from, that's just called bald-faced lying to someone's face. When they're out there busting their ass, knocking doors, beating the street, you're doing it because you thought there was a couple points behind. I was making phone calls telling people, no, internal says it's a lot closer than you think. I was lying to people and did not know it. And that's baloney.
Yes, and I was knocking on doors lying, and one of our fam members texted me the day before, and she's like, oh my God, I have the flu, and she was super sick, and he was like, no, tell her the polls are closed, keep calling, and she has the flu. The polls were never closed. It's those things that just are very shady. And like you said, if you just say to me up front, I'm getting paid by the Allen campaign to come out and help, irregardless of the polls, fine.
I'd have been there.
Just tell me the truth.
Hey, Jen.
Yes.
Can you talk about the campaign headquarter thing?
Well, first off, I want to fill Jen in really briefly on some of the stuff that has transpired while she wasn't here.
Sorry.
While we had, the prior couple hours, we've had a lot of members of the fam who have been silent, who have reached out through DMs and other things that have been taken advantage of, and some in small ways, others in extremely, extremely large ways, to the tune of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I went into this with trepidation, because I couldn't figure out the best way to do this without it being some sort of huge blow up with the fam, but we had to expose our worries. And it's turned into a lot more. Our worries were well founded, and a lot of people have been taken advantage of. And I hope at the end of this that some things can be audited, for Princess's words, and on his end. And if there was any kind of wrongdoing, any kind of crimes committed, any kind of thing like that, I certainly hope that those things can be taken care of and prosecuted, because as far as I'm concerned, there's a very special place in fucking hell for you to take advantage of good-hearted people. And that's all I'm going to say. Go ahead.
Smooch ends that with a cheery up talk. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly,
Smooch is angry.
I hear you, man. We're all
Yes,
fucking fuming, and that's why we're here. You know, is to voice your concerns and to tell people your experiences. So please, without further ado, Jen, round 2.
No, I'm resisting going into this because I didn't want to drag the fam through another thing. It's like, oh, come on. And, you know, but I just, I do feel that it's not just about me. It's about future things. It's about the lying of the polls and talking smack about California now. Many people in California were very kind to Adam or Gold Hat. And Gold Hat, when he was with people, he did work. I mean, he made the calls and everything. But then if you're getting paid and that's what you have to do, you know, I don't know what the arrangement was. I've said that. But if there's a check and you're co-sponsor of the event and you're asking fam members and coalition to help out to cover things so that the event can go forward, you need to put your money where you're asking everybody else to do. I don't care how much you're helping. I don't care how much you're scoping. Okay. It doesn't take any money to scope. It takes to get the event to go forward, and rightfully so. I know this $1,000 thing came out of nowhere. And I will tell you guys that Shull was in a really rough spot, because here's the thing: for any venue, once you actually pass a certain date, you can't refund. And if all the money that you had to refund goes for the venue, then you have no money to refund people. So that, I knew that she was in a predicament on that level. And so that's why I tried to help in the way that I could help. But I lost patience when I started becoming the villain about getting enough money from Gold Hat. And that's when I started getting angry, because I'm like, this isn't my even event. And I wanted to go forward for California, but if I'm not involved from the beginning and I don't know all the logistics and everything, I feel hesitant about, you know, just figuring out where money is going, because I don't know fully. And I mean, I knew it was going for the venue. So, you know, I just want everybody to know that I would not say anything to purposely deceive anybody. I would not want to hurt anybody. I literally just, after the week, and there were other people that, you know, like maybe this brought up earlier, that told me afterwards, well, I had a bad feeling, or I tried to have a bad feeling. Maybe it's just a lesson that, you know, we need to come forward a little earlier. I mean, before this, I had only had a positive interaction with Gold Hat. He helped out for Cofafe Fest. He did scope for us. He got me some local people in California that followed him. And then when he had his Torino event, I wanted to go and support him back, because I knew what it meant for someone to come, and he helped me with Cofafe Fest. So Brian and I did go to the Torino event, which I don't regret at all. So when he asked us, I had no preconceived notions that he was going to be deceiving, because he had never shown himself to do that before. He donated hats for Cofafe Fest. You know, he was very nice on all other things. The other thing that he did, which is that he took us in DC, he took a few of us fam members with his friend on a private tour of the Capitol. And that was one of the greatest things that I got to experience. So I wasn't one of these people that had a bad feeling, because my only feeling with him was good in the beginning. It's when he hung up on me and the whole money situation, that's what did it for me. And I'm being upfront. That's why I probably didn't see it coming, maybe as some others did.
Well, I mean, you know, the tough thing is, Jen, is that there's a certain extent to which anybody, including myself, will just allow things to go. And I'm a person, and I think, Jen, if I may speak for you, your actions have told me that you're that type of person as well, that, you know, it's almost like the Reagan rule that we've heard from Adam and others before, and I've cited it multiple times. Like, if you agree with somebody 80% of the time, then, you know, they're really on your team, and, you know, you might disagree with them some other times, but, you know, for the majority of it, they're on your team, you know. And when you push a little too far, you might have an abrasive personality that, you know, if you were somebody that I would meet on the street in person, that type of personality is not attractive to me. I probably wouldn't, I probably wouldn't join you for a beer at the bar type of situation. But, you know, you're on our team in the respect that you vote the way that we do, and you have the same political leanings that we do. So, you know, you kind of let stuff go to a certain extent. And it's the repetitive theme here with multiple people leading up to this, and then even more so, you know, coming out to us now, is that many of these people have all had, I will say, foul experiences that have gotten to the point where they thought something might be a little hinky, but not really far enough that they suspected much. And again, I'm not insinuating that there was anything foul with where the money went. We just don't know. And, you know, the behavior is what I'm concerned about. I don't tolerate that behavior from my friends or family and anybody that I associate with. When I hear the types of things that were said, the way they were said, and the response to those in the respect of LA Child, who gave her example earlier, getting blocked for asking simple questions, to the physical interactions that Jen and Brian had with him when he stayed at their home, and then the follow-up action of just simply hanging up the phone and not acting like a real person, you know, to deal with the situation, that I have a problem with. You know, and then it goes beyond. There's just lingering questions, and the repetitive pestering for money is just not an ethically good thing to be doing, and taking advantage of our group to the extent that you're financially draining them.
Yeah, to the extent that we have people in the fam right now that are hearing this shit and are very, very upset. And it just proves that what we had to do was right. And so, because more things have come to light, I resent this Zoom room number to Goldie. One more time. Come on, face the fam. This is your shot. Your 12:30, 2:30 a.m. GNN isn't going to cut it. Come talk to the fam. If not, we're fucking done. We got some, you know, very good-hearted people that have been taken advantage of in a very big way, and it's all coming to light as we speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'll reiterate that too. I'm sure, Jen, you probably feel the same way, you know.
Yeah, I'm done. I mean, I just wanted to, you know, tell everybody the intentions of the good intentions of the Whiskey Tango event. And I also wanted to, you know, clarify why I got upset and irritated with this situation. And basically, that was it. And so, if, you know, I'm sorry that we have to come to this as usual, but it's better now that it's done and, you know, it's out in the open, and then people can make their decisions. And, you know, that's it. I really don't have anything else to say unless anybody has any particular questions.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to come in here and clarify a little bit. That was one of my trepidation points, was that from what I could see, you were one of the ones that really were taken advantage of. And since then, we found out there's been several more in just different ways. So I certainly appreciate you coming out. It's one of those things that we have to do as a group. You know, when you find a cancer in your body, if you do not take care of it, it will kill the body most times. And unfortunately, I hate to call anybody that, but that's exactly what we're seeing when there's literally dozens of people that are stepping up and saying, hey, wait a minute, what the hell? I thought he had some kind of direct affiliation with this campaign or whatnot. So more things will come to light in the future, but that's not going to be my end. I'm pretty much done with Gold Hat unless he comes on and can talk to us, explain himself, explain to the people that he's built a lot of money and time from, and been very abrasive and very pushy to a group of people that are very solid, sound, and generous, and all they want to do is MAGA. It's infuriating. It really is. It's infuriating.
And the one thing I will say, I don't know, I caught a tail end of B with the veterans, Smooch, is that, Tamara and I have talked about this. There were representatives of veterans organizations there. There's one lady that I know very nice who represents veterans of Orange County. And Tamara has had a lot of experience with veterans, and she has said you can invite many veterans, but getting them there is sometimes very difficult, or even them showing up. So you can give them the ticket and say these tickets are available. And so I honestly don't know, how many veterans were there, not there, or how many actually didn't show, even though they were invited. So
right.
I can't speak to any of that.
I feel better that I found out there wasn't any a boatload of extra money that just didn't get sent to the bottom line is we don't want to be misled into giving under false pretenses, and so I do feel better about that. It's also why I never brought it up throughout the broadcast until B came on and talked about WTF. Well, that was the only thing that I had in my craw as a sticking point, because like I said, if you're honest about things, then
it would have been better just to say to the fam this, if it was a Goldie, I'm co-sponsoring an event, we don't have enough tickets to make all the payments, can anybody make a donation to help sponsor the California event, because we don't want to cancel it because we have candidates coming. Like at that point, I just think that it would have gone off better. When you have that other thing, it leaves, whether you invite all the veterans or you don't know, it leaves a gray area. So I think it's just, we don't want to have any sort of gray area.
Well, absolutely. We kind of trust each other, and when we trust each other, then we have to trust that we have each other's backs. And so, like Dad mentioned at the very beginning, he's never met or been involved with a group of people as good and as large as this group of people. And I'm right there with him. In my entire life, 45 years, I've never been involved with a group as selfless as this one. And because this group is as selfless as it is, we're going to have these kind of issues. And that's just the bottom line, because there's too many people out there that like to prey on other people. And when we see it, we have to call it out. And that's all there is to it.
And, lesson learned for me and anyone else, I started following Adam right at the Pennsylvania recounts. And, he's never, unfortunately, as Queen Athene likes to say, gosh darn it, I'll say it and she uses a different language, the dude's never wrong. And you wish he was sometimes, right? Because we don't want him to be wrong about certain things or correct, even if the truth hurts. He's always told us the truth. And so I've always followed him and respected him and what he does, because he's always told us the truth. Even he's gone on scope. So even when people don't want to hear it and they start nipping back at him because they don't like what they're hearing about something, he just still pledges on. He could be in a bad mood about it. He can be grumpy about it. He can say, I'm sorry if this is what you don't want to hear. He tried to tell me and I ignored it. And that's on me. That's on me. So I know, lesson to self, right? And I should have checked the poll. If somebody tells you there's a poll, ask to see the poll. It doesn't matter what state you're in, because this could happen if it's not Gold Hat, it could happen by somebody else that's gaslighting voters. It could be the Democrats infiltrating and saying, oh yeah, do this. And we don't know, right? So we want to validate what we're seeing. And if you don't know how to validate, ask somebody that in our group that we can trust, which that person has the most political savviness is Adam.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Well, I mean, I appreciate you coming on. I don't have a lot more to add.
No, I don't either.
The stories keep coming in, though. It's like more and more things are being exposed. More and more chat rooms are being lit up, and I had to just step away from the chat rooms for a minute.
Well, I'm sorry that
so pissed.
I'm sorry that people didn't have had a bad experience, because I wouldn't wish my experience on anybody else or anybody else's experience. You know, it's a part of life. We have to sort of move on, but it keeps us all much more aware. You know, I guess good thing to know is if you can't trust the source, then, you know, donate directly to that candidate. And if you don't know where you're donating to, if you don't know who's getting the money, then try to donate just to that candidate. And then,
well, absolutely. Each candidate has to file their FEC filing. That's the great thing about it. I've donated to candidates. Other people in the fam, that's one of the things they like to do. As soon as they donate and that FEC filing comes out, they want to make sure that their money is claimed, because it's there by name. You can't hide it. It's there. You can't screw around with election money. The government won't let you. They won't. They're the ones laundering the money, not us. They won't allow it.
Yes.
I digress. Sorry.
No, I agree. I'm saying that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, it's just a good lesson. It's kind of like, you know, it used to be that you could trust, like if you were to go out in front of a grocery store years ago, and I know back in the 70s or 80s, and there was an organization, there was not a lot of fraud. It usually like went to that organization. But then unfortunately, schemers got in and were claiming to be part of certain organizations and were collecting money. And then it's the same thing. Then now everybody says just donate directly to this charity. Don't put it, because you don't know where that person that's there. It's kind of the same idea, you know. It's just we all have to be more aware. I should have heeded some things. Like I'm saying, I don't claim zero responsibility in this. Where I claim because I could have done things better. What I claim responsibility irritation for was the financial aspect of this whole thing, and that's what really, and the hanging up in mid-sentence when I was just trying to help made me angry. And I'm a person about accountability. So if I'm hosting an event or I'm saying I'm going to do X, if that whatever that X is, if it requires money, then I'm going to put the money up. And that's where I was mad at him, is that Chill had gotten on her own most of the money through tickets and other things that she had put up. And I was angry because I said, listen, you're a co-sponsor, put up the remaining balance. And that's where I was angry. And he didn't do that. And then I got a lot of pushback. So I saw who he was in that moment. I had started having, and that's what really, everything kind of came together then for me all at once. Like, you know, you're flashing back on things. So, you know, when he was here in the house, he was fine. He was polite and everything for the most part. He just loves to be on dance scopes or whatever. He likes to be on scope. But other than that, you know, it was just mostly the deceit part of things. And that's where I felt like I was deceived. And then also, I don't like it, him not taking responsibility and then pushing it off on fam. That's where I got angry.
Well, you had an obvious right to be angry. There's a lot of people right now that have a right to be angry, and there's a lot of people right now that deserve answers. And we're still waiting. So I don't, it's obvious he's not going to come on. And I don't know, Dan, what do you think, sir? You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You're good.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, look, I said it before. This is our one night airing of grievances, and it's over with him. The idea of this was to make sure that people that we know and trust in our group were made aware of the experiences of others in this group that weren't necessarily privy to the information before. We gave the man the opportunity to come on here I know that he's periscoping right now, claiming that he's going to file lawsuits and whatever else, apparently against me, or I don't know if he's insinuating.
I didn't know he was periscoping.
Yeah,
That's how he's handling it. Okay.
I mean that's how he wants to deal with it. So that's fine. Look, we took this opportunity to come on here and collectively air our grievances, about the actions of a particular person who was supposedly part of our group. And he chose not to come on here to defend himself. And I don't need to sit here and lob shit back and forth. My deal was to come on here and explain my personal Festivus. I'm sorry, Stormy. It reminds me of who's it? Rand Paul does the annual airing of grievances on Twitter. So anyway, my thing is to come on here and give my opinion in the situations that I've dealt with him in, and allow people, the other people, the opportunity to describe firsthand situations that they were involved with him in, and that's it. And just make people aware that he's not a person that I would ever call a friend. He's not a person that I ever considered or ever would consider being part of our fam. And I question a number of things about the guy. But I don't need to say any more, I mean, there's a million and one things, but I don't need to beat a dead cocks here. We can just move along. Jen, gave us a pretty...
apparently he's demanding I take down the scope. He says that he called me and I didn't pick up, which
I think he's actually referring to me because his number on my phone is actually blocked. So it actually, because I've never had him saved in my contacts, but I know his number when it pops up. So I did actually see during the course of the broadcast, because I had previously blocked his number because I didn't want him pestering me, like I've heard that he's done to other people. I don't have time for that nonsense. So apparently he's saying that I wasn't man enough to pick up the phone or whatnot. But look, we could lob accusations back and forth at each other all night. He wasn't man enough to come on here. I'm not man enough to pick up the phone. Whatever you want to believe is, like I said early on in this broadcast from the very beginning, you don't have to believe my words. It's my opinion and the accounts of other people. Please go ask him yourself. Go ask other people who have been involved in conversations or donations or whatever with him, and make your own decisions. I'm sitting here just pissed off about the fact that I saw, in my opinion, him take advantage of other people, and that's just it. So, like we said initially, early on, Smooch is a one-night deal, and he's the outcast. He got voted off the island tonight, and we'll say goodbye to him on his raft, and push him off, and let the trade winds carry him wherever they're going to go.
Absolutely. I mean, I started this show with trepidation. I started this show with, a lot of worry, the same worry Jen had, the same worry LA had, same worry several members of the fam had, that they didn't want to cause any more problems within the fam after all we've gone through. Well, I'm ending this evening after everyone, the comments I've seen, the direct messages I've received, knowing that we absolutely did the right thing and calling out this son of a bitch. And that's right, Goldie, you're a son of a bitch for taking advantage of good MAGA people. You're dead to me. Don't contact me and try and explain this away. You had your chance. You had your opportunity. I got 2 words for you, bub. Fuck you. And that's all I got to say about that.
And that's the bottom line.
It's as simple as that.
All right. Well, I've still got DMs and everything else that I'm sorry, just getting sidetracked here with. So
I understand.
I'll go ahead and end my end of the broadcast, Smooch, since we're simulcasting here. If that's
okay.
Go watch the ending music. I've got a special song. The ending music is just for you, Jen and
okay.
Dan.
I'll log off.
All right. I
Okay,
love you
bye.
guys. I love you, fam.
Thank you.
I apologize that we
Good
have to bring this kind of things out, but I know we have to do it. If we're going to be strong and we're going to be a family that grows, gets stronger, and actually affects change in this movement, then we're going to have to go through some of these rough times, and we're going to come out the other end much fucking stronger. I guarantee it. I guarantee
Amen.
it.
Thank you, Smooch.
No,
Thank you, Dan.
guys.
Okay,
right.
thank
Bye. Pineapple love around for everybody.
That's funny. Awesome. Thanks you guys for coming on. I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom and finish with that song just for you guys.
Yeah, go for it, Smooch. Actually, hang on 1 second before you end the Zoom, just because I don't have your feed. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn my broadcast off right now, guys. And thank you very much. And then if you want to catch the ending, please go over to Smooch's broadcast and go check it out. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Dan.
Later on.
Talk to you later.
Have a good one, guys.